Hello, everybody. If it's Wednesday, it's Warhammer, and that must mean it is time for another episode of Warhammer Weekly. Joining me, as always, is my co-host and my own despoiler of everything I love. It's Tom. What's up, buddy?
Hello, friends.
So
I
tonight,
mean,
yeah,
yep.
yeah, exactly. Tonight we are talking about the S2D. We're talking about the Slaves to Darkness release. The time has finally come.
STD. STD.
I
That's
like
what
it
they are.
better. I like when we say S2D, not because I care about the allusion to the other, well-known reference for that, because it puts me in mind of Too Legit to Quit, and I'm all about that. So,
I mean, that's legitimate.
absolutely it is. As I just said, it is in fact too legit. So, all I'm saying is S2D, S2D to quit. So
Um,
that's what we're talking about
hey,
tonight.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah. Also, it's Christmas Day. Hey, man, how was your Christmas?
Yeah, yeah, it went well.
Okay. You have a lot of kids,
Just
which means Christmas is chaos.
yep. I'm enjoying one of my Christmas gifts from my children. You see that?
Doesn't it says fantastic uncle?
Yeah.
Okay. So your kids didn't give you like a number one dad mug. Your kids gave you a you're a good uncle mug.
Yeah. Yeah. They did.
That's
That happened.
wonderful. Oh, I almost forgot. What am I
How
doing here?
amazing is that?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I had this sitting behind me. Hold on. I got to get in costume here. I apologize, everyone.
Oh.
There we go.
Oh.
There we go. Now I'm ready. Okay. At any rate, since it is Christmas Day, I'm glad to see your kids are. And there goes Tom, just like that. I knew his internet was bad. That's fine. I'll keep talking while we wait for Tom to catch back up.
No, I'm really here, but okay.
Your internet's bad. It's just bad.
Yeah, I know. I know. I'm gonna get some fiber soon.
Yeah,
It'll be
well,
good.
you're on like 120 DPI right now, but that's fine. Whatever. The I'm glad to see your kids are trolling you harder than I do. That's wonderful, and I'm excited about that. I'm glad that that's passed along. I think that's
Yeah.
it's a wonderful tradition.
I mean, it's just something that everyone in my life does. Just
Hmm.
everyone.
Sure, sure, absolutely. All right, so let's start off with some news, man. What do we got? As you eat, you're literally eating when you know this is the section of the show you talk. Your professionalism, Tom. You're
I
showing
took a
up
bite
like the worst
before you
internet.
did the transition.
You're
Okay.
eating food. It's
Hey, I'm
it's an
having
absolute
a
pleasure.
Christmas cookie
Uh-huh.
because it is Christmas. But let's talk about a rumor engine. I
Yeah,
know what
man.
this is.
It's
Do
up
you
on the
know what this
screen.
is?
The boot from the Ogre Hunter thing and the Underworld's Warband.
Shadespire. And yes.
Whatever, yeah. Wait, no, Shadespire's the name of season 1. No, it's just Underworlds.
No. Underworlds. Yeah.
I
Yeah,
was
that
right.
one. Yes. Yeah. It is the Maw Tribes band from Beastgrave.
Okay. Seems reasonable enough. I mean, ogres traditionally have those little
That's what I'm calling. That's
swoopy doop metal things on there, all over the place. That's a very common
tou-
signifier for them.
touche, Steve Keen. Touche.
Yes, indeed. Indeed, that is correct. And we're just gonna have to put up with it. Are you like downloading something you shouldn't be downloading, Tom? Is there inappropriate downloads going
No,
on your computer right now?
no. I think the switch is turned off.
With like, do we need to feed some more food to the little rats that run to power your internet? Is that what it is? There you go. You're frozen again. I love it. I love it. It's great. Merry Christmas, everyone. This is what I get for Christmas dealing with Tom. So that's nice. Um, so while we're waiting on Tom, I'm gonna go ahead and go to the next news thing. Okay. Because I know what it is. So we got the rumor engine. That's fine. We'll leave Tom there paused. And that's fine. He can have that funny look on his face. Uh, the and I'll talk about something important. So we'll distract from Tom's face here that he's making this hilarious face with something a bit serious. So in the description after this show, you are all going to find a link that says that's listed as Save RC. There is a member of our community Kirk, and he is an awesome guy. He's been a follower of the show since the beginning. He is welcoming a new child, his first child, into the world this week, and that is a wonderful, great thing. So he and his wife are about to welcome their first child in the world, and which is fantastic on Christmas, of course. So they're getting a very special Christmas present. Unfortunately, Kirk also found out that uh, his dog, the dog that's been with their family for several years, has a has cancer and is going to require some treatment. And so he started up a little GoFundMe by way of selling off some of his models. So I have a link to the Facebook thing. It's not just giving money. I mean, you can, of course, you can just donate, but he's selling off his models to help pay for some of his dogs, treatment. So, and obviously money is very tight, as I don't know if you know this, but having a kid is kind of an expensive thing. And, there you go. We dropped Tom finally. That's fine. He'll be back in a little while. So, the link will be down there. You can go. You can look at all the models he's selling. If you've got some Christmas money burning a hole in your pocket, I can think of no better way to spend it. You'll pick up some models, and you will also be helping out someone to keep a really beloved pet. And as someone who only has dogs, I know it matters a lot to me. I can't link it in the chat. I don't think. I'll see once Tom gets back and I can try to mess with it. I'll see if I can pull it out and actually put it into the chat, but it will definitely be in the show notes. So if you've got some Christmas money, if you're looking to pick up some models, he has a bunch of stuff he's selling. It's getting something you always wanted, which is more Warhammer stuff for the holidays, and it's helping out perhaps the greatest cause of, you could do in helping somebody who it's just like the worst time for him to be dealing with that. So my heart goes out to him. What a wonderful thing to find out like 2 days before Christmas. So we all send him our best. I hope his wife, I haven't talked to him since his wife went into the hospital. I don't know if it was like for, to have their kid or whatever. So I hope we all wish him his best. His name is Kirk. I'll like you can see there off of the Facebook page I link. So link will be down there. Please do remember, please go check it out. I'll see if I can link I'll see if I can link it in the chat as well. So there you go, everybody. If you want to do something good for Christmas and keep Christmas in your heart and still get yourself some sweet new models, why, what a great way to do all of that at once. So check out that link below. While Tom is waiting, I'll just keep going with the news because I know it all. I'm the one who writes it for him anyways. And while he's gone, I'm going to do this. I'm going to, hold on, folks. We're going to doot. I'll make myself bigger. There, now I'm a bigger part of the screen. So we don't have to just stare at my little bouncing ball. Okay, so while we're waiting on Tom to come back, yes, it will be in the show notes after the video is done. That is correct, that link. Let's talk about the big news that got announced on Christmas Day. And that is, of course, we're getting a new box set in January. We had thought we would have to wait until, February to get our Tzeentch versus KO. But no, in fact, we're getting it in January. So we're getting Tzeentch versus KO, and we are getting a brand new hero for each, including a hero on an Endrin. So we've got like an Endrin rigger type hero. So that's pretty awesome. I saw both the new heroes looked absolutely fantastic. So there's a Magister on disc, so he can zip around and keep up with the other people on disc. The box set's interesting because it's all kind of elite dudes. That is to say, like on the Tzeentchian side, you've got a bunch of the Zangor on disc, so they can be, Skyfires or Enlightened, as well as the Magister. And then 3 Screamers, which, fingers crossed, make Screamers good. I love the Screamer models. They're so weird. They're so cool. I really hope that Screamers are awesome because I love the models. I have a bunch of them, and I've always wanted an excuse to use them. I just think they're really cool. So, that's pretty awesome. The new Magister looks amazing on his disc, like truly amazing model, as per everything we've seen. On the KO side with the Endrin hero, one, you get like the Endrin hero, a gun hauler, and 6 balloon boys. And one has to hope that the idea there would be that the Endrin hero makes the balloon boys battle line. Battle line balloon boys, in addition to being excellent alliteration, would be wonderful. So that would be great to see some conditional battle line in a book that has traditionally been, let's call it, saddled with only one battle line. So I like Paul's comment, Radio Free Hammer All, start collecting, the floor is lava. Yes, all flying against flying. So the Aether War is the box set, and obviously you get all the tokens and stuff for their abilities as well as the models. It's one of the lower model starter boxes, but they all are more elite stuff, and they're all worth quite a bit of points. Like if you built all those guys as Skyfires, it's actually quite a lot of points in that box, theoretically, as per how the points are now. Who knows? Because of course, coming along with the box set is also the book, the battle tome for each one. So we'll get our new KO box set, battle tome, and our new Tzeentch battle tome. Somebody asked, why is Tzeentch versus KO a thing? Like, why would the Sky Dwarves be fighting the magic people? Well, one, as they point out in the trailer, like the technology versus magic, even though it's magic tech, but that's fine, is kind of an interesting parallel. But narratively in the world, they live in the same place. Like their home is the same place. Tzeentch's strongest foothold in the mortal realms is in Shimon, in the realm of metal. And famously, most of the big KO skyports are in Shimon as well. No, Tristan, you don't get the battle tomes with the box. The battle tomes just release at the same time as the box. So there you go. As to the hero models, will they ever be released individually? Who knows? Who knows if they follow like the tradition of most of these heroes, then the answer would be no. Not anytime soon. Yeah, let me be very clear. The box does not contain the 2 battle tomes. My goodness. I was saying that we are getting, the community, are getting a release of the battle tomes at the same time. Sorry if I was indelicate with my wording there. I apologize. I wasn't trying to mislead anybody. I was only meaning there's the box set, and then at the same time, but as a separate purchase, we are getting a battle tome for each. Will we ever get the heroes? Who knows? Hope so. If not, hello, secondhand market and or whatever. I mean, realistically, they're not that hard of conversions. Like sticking a spellcaster on a disc and, well, your internet's nice and clear, Tom. Did you restart your computer? You're back.
Thanks.
It's good now. It's all right. I've been doing your job for you. Like I said, I'm the one who writes the news anyway, so it doesn't matter. I know what it all is.
I mean,
we're talking,
you're not
Tom,
wrong.
about the Tzeentch and KO announcement today. Very exciting.
I couldn't ask for a better Christmas.
Yeah, indeed. What a great Christmas gift for Tom. So Tom, I've already laid out the basics, the models that come in it, the fact that we are getting all of the battle tomes will be releasing separately at the same time, right? And that just kind of an interesting box set overall, and that I hope they make Screamers real good. What's your feelings on it? Oh my gosh, did he freeze again? Oh, Tom. Poor Tom. Now he looks frustrated. He's just going to live in this, like, frustrated state. It's pretty great. I really want to know who else in his house is using the internet, or who in his neighborhood. What is going on there? So that's pretty wonderful. At any rate, so that got announced. So cool beans. I'll take a look at some of the comments. I'll tell you, my personal hope for KO is that they are a nightmare of shooting. That's what I want. I want us to stop being I want us to stop being scared of this. People's constant complaints like it's not fun to get shot off the table. Okay. You know what else isn't fun? Just getting steamrolled by a melee army. Like, yeah, I hope that they've got real shooting power. I hope they've got a couple different ways they can be played. Like, I hope if you dip into the ironclads and you go to like all big single models, that's where a ton of like ungodly shooting power comes from, because that has then a very natural, strong limitation to it, which is that, you only have a few models. So you can put these massive amounts of devastation onto the battlefield, but then you've only got a few models because you have like a few ironclads, right? I think that would be a nice way to balance it out. Like if you go with the troops, your shooting is just good. It's good shooting. Sorry, as I'm having to talk here all this. So I want to see ironclads be a absolute nightmare on the tabletop. I want to see the hero make Balloon Boy's battle line, and I want to see the gun hauler become battle line. That would be great. Like maybe, and if I'm just wish listing, I would love it if we got an ironclad admiral ship that was a hero, like the steam tank commander. There you go. Yeah, I mean, so just to answer an interesting comment that was made, so long as they're not gunline shooting and have to move around, that'd be great. I mean, if you want to win games in AOS, you have to move around. Period. It's just built into the game. Gun lines lose games. Like you can't play 6 or 8 objective scenarios and sit in a castle. That's a good way to lose the game. Like this game requires movement. So there you go. So but again, I think an excellent, what I was saying, Tom, welcome back again, is that I would love to see ironclads be a nightmare of shooting that just devastates the enemy. And that actually be a really good balance. If the overwhelming shooting power was sort of kept into, like, you can have devastating firepower, but then you have to take ironclads. You see what I mean? If they're that sort of battle line, then, Tom, move closer to your router. Closer. What are you? He like joins for 2 seconds. We get a new frozen face, and then he freezes again. Merry Christmas, everybody. Anyway, I think that'd be a real great balance. Oh, neat. At 13, Ilya says at 13 seconds in the video when he yells "so rich," there's a terrain piece in the background. I will have to look. That'll be interesting. And hello, Caleb. Caleb said, I'll see you at the top tables at Acon. So for people who don't know, Tom has played Caleb like round 4 or 5 at the top tables at Acon for like 3 years in a row. Caleb, Tom and I were recently discussing his potential lists for Acon. And I said, he showed me a list and I said, you'll lose to Caleb's new Zinch in game 4 at Acon. Because I was like, you're going to play him again. It's happened 3 years, 200 people, you find him every time. And I said, just assume you're going to play him and assume you need to beat that army, like a better version of Zinch. So, yes, Caleb, it's in his head. He's already planning to see you again. So, there you go. And yes, I agree. Tom is mailing photos of himself to the podcast. That's really great. Okay. That's a good idea. I'll tell him next time to maybe you should turn off your video, Tom. I don't know. Maybe you just don't have the bandwidth right now. Let's see if he actually joins. Let's see if Tom's actually here.
Is this working?
At the moment, we can hear you. Let's see if you freeze again. You may have to turn off your video and be a bouncing ball, but we'll see. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
No.
You refuse?
I've tethered my laptop to my phone.
Oh, okay. Got it. You put it through your phone.
I'm tethering my laptop to my phone.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. I'm giving up on Spectrum.
It's fine.
Sorry, Comcast.
At any rate, I was making a joke while you're gone, Tom, because Caleb said, see you on the top tables at Acon when they're releasing the Z versus KO thing. And I told him the story of me saying, you're going to lose to Caleb in round 4 if you take that list. So there you go. Okay. Oh, nope. Even his phone can't do it. Tom just lives in a, just apparently lives in a black hole today of internet suckage. But at least this time he's smiling. So that's nice. That's a nice thing. Well, we will keep forging ahead. There's one more piece of news which we need to discuss, of course, which is relevant. Uh, oh, there you go. Well, that's interesting. Well, he's on his cell phone now, so that shouldn't be happening. But still, chances are he forgot to remove his cell phone from the Wi-Fi before he hooked himself to his cell phone. It seems like a thing Tom would do. So he he probably then lost the same wireless connection that he had. I'm gonna guess that's what he did. He left his phone on Wi-Fi and then tried to join. Uh, because that sounds like something Tom would manage to accomplish. Okay. At any rate, one more sad piece of news to discuss. We got the word yesterday officially that Duncan will be leaving GW at the end of the year. Sad news indeed. But I wish him, of course, all the best. He is a great man, a great teacher, an absolute, hobby hero. And he'll be missed. But I'm sure he's going on to do some wonderful things. He's been there a long, long time. And sometimes I'm sure people just feel like having a little change in their career. So, there you go. Uh, the it's sad, of course, because Duncan is such a face for GW. He's such a positive force for them in the world and one of the nicest people just ever. Like, none of that is an affect. That's just him being that positive and wonderful as a human being and sharing and teaching people. So I have no doubt wherever he goes and whatever he does, he will continue to share and teach and be part of the Warhammer world. So there you go. That's what I would say about that. And we can all, I'm sure that they will find somebody. I'm sure Peachy will carry on bravely. And I'm sure, Duncan will still be around. So there you go. All right. So with that out of the way, let's move on to our other segments. So pick of the week. I'm sure Tom will be back in a little while once he figures this all out. It's fine. Either that or I just sit here and talk about Slaves to Darkness and move my little picture square to being the whole screen so that way we don't have to just look at me in a corner of nothing. Oh. Tom's back, but he's turning off his camera smartly. Okay.
I give up.
Yeah. At least if you're here, Tom. If your
I'm
audio's here, it's something.
I'm defeated.
That's fine.
This is it.
You'll be a bouncy ball this episode.
Yeah, I hate it. I'm sorry, folks.
It's okay. We don't know why your internet's so bad. We can try again in a little while.
Let it even out. It's not my internet. That's the weird. It's my it has to be my computer because I tried to use my cell phone as well and tether. So. Did
you remember to shut off the Wi-Fi on your cell phone before you tethered?
Yes, I did.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I was making a bet that you forgot to do that first.
No. I did all the troubleshooting I needed to do. I thought through the process, and I'm just it. And here we are.
That's fine.
Okay. So my long and short thoughts on KO.
Yeah, man. We'll back up. We had talked about Duncan leaving GW.
So it's sad. Sorry, Duncan. Yeah. So let me just say regarding KO, I love the box. The box is more than I could have ever hoped for. Mm-hmm. In every way possible. Oops. So let me say it this way. The box tells us they went down the unnamed hero route, right? And that's a huge win for the army. Because the army it had a hole that needed filled, and they're filling it with the unit, even if it is just a unit that comes in the dual box, and we're not going to get it forever, as I saw one comment earlier. The reality is that you can still buy Brock and convert him, and it'll be fine. And so there's some of the basic fundamental flaws of KO that are fixed. And more than that, I want everything in that box. All of it.
Yeah, sure.
Not only from a KO standpoint, yes, I have 21 Endrin Riggers already done. and I have 12 Sky Wardens. But another 12 Sky Wardens isn't going to hurt anything.
Sure.
Especially with kind of the direction that it seems like they're going. Which
well, if
we're
your
guessing
balloon boys suddenly all become battle line with that
right,
guy as a hero
right,
or general,
right.
you're good to go.
Absolutely. And
I've replaced your bouncing ball, Tom, with something more apropos. I know you can't see the screen, but
I can't. I will see it on the playback, apparently.
Sure.
And on top of that, like Vince, that I've been wanting to build a Zangor army for quite a while.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like everything in here is like I love everything about it.
Yeah, like I said, my big hope is I hope the Screamers being in the box actually means that Screamers are like useful and do something.
Yeah,
it's not always the case, but I would love it if Screamers were good because I love Screamers. They're all like they're my favorite Tzeentch demon.
Yeah, they're a very unique aesthetic for a Tzeentch. Like,
I really
surfers. Hope. Yep. Yeah, and so like, I look at this and I'm like, I can easily go in 2 boxes on this, and plan to use every single model there.
Yep.
Like without any hesitation, go.
Sure.
I'll use 2 full boxes of that with like nothing wasted. Maybe the Screamers, but even then, I anticipate they'll be better. So I couldn't ask for a better box set, honestly.
Sure. Caleb told you to stay in your lane.
Thanks, Caleb. I appreciate that. I mean, I'll see you on top tables. I like everything that's going on here. It's just the problem is it's going to throw another wrench in my plans because I've already swapped to Fire Slayers, and so now I'm going to have to figure out if I want to run KO for Adepticon or not.
Well, you and I already sketched out my potential army because, and Clay Campbell said not to disappoint you, but Morghast were in Feast of Bones and they're pretty mad. Oh, there's certainly many examples. I'm saying I hope.
Sure.
I hope. Yes. There's a difference between I hope and I believe it will happen, right? Big difference. There's quite a gap there. But my hope, because I'm building the technological Whirlwind's Edge army, which can include KO forces, 1 and 4, right?
Yep.
So what I want is those ground pounding, grid square destroying ironclads, and I'll bring 2 of them into my force. And you and I already sketched out like a super dumb army that's like 2 ironclads, 3 steam tanks, a unit of pistoliers, and 2 gyrocopters. Yeah, and then I meet the 1 and 4 ratio. I've got 3 battle line because the steam tank commander would be the general, so the 2 steam tanks and the pistoliers, and good to go. Or handgunners or whatever. You can pick whatever for that. Yeah, just Flight of the Valkyries, baby, just coming in. Absolutely.
Yes, it'll be delightful. No, it'll be good. I'm really excited. We reported last show that we thought that this might have been bumped up from February to January, and a week later we get that confirmation. So I'm excited about that. I couldn't have asked for more, is what I would say. Like, it's just, the hope is that they are going to deal with some of the fundamental flaws of composition as it was.
Sure.
So, and I think they will. Like, I think that we have a good shot of that.
Yep, I agree. I wish I had a better picture of you, Tom, because I would just put a picture of you up, but I don't have a good picture of you.
Thanks, Vince.
Mm-hmm.
I could put a picture of you up. You probably wouldn't like that, though.
I already have a picture of me up, but that's fine. That's what's up on the screen right now.
Mm-hmm.
At any rate, and no, nothing on Seraphon, Rob Johnson. I'm sure we'll hear about them soon enough.
Yeah, indeed.
Okay. So we were going to pick of the week. So let's talk pick of the week. What do you got, Tom? What do you want to share with everybody?
If you guys haven't seen, I know that I occasionally I'll spruik this, but if you guys haven't seen any of the James Workshop videos, they're funny. They hit the funny bone.
Mm-hmm.
So I would highly recommend. Vince will link some in the comments below, but they've been doing well with that marketing push. It's very Old Spice-esque.
Sure, absolutely. I'll there you go. I'll make the picture bigger for everybody. Hooves had mentioned he wanted the picture bigger. There you go. At any rate, so my pick of the week, I already mentioned it. It's the Save RC link. buy yourself some models, do something really great with your Christmas money, help out an awesome member of the community, and help him out during an extremely stressful time on Christmas.
Mm.
Link will be in the description, so you can get yourself models with your Christmas money and help somebody keep their treasured pet all at once. It's a great, it's a win-win. So there you go. Link in the description. Once the show goes, is done recording. All right. Hobby time. What are you working on, Tom?
Yeah, so I got some games in with you this weekend, which was hilarious. I sent Vince some photos. Vince, you're welcome to share those if you'd like.
You can still share them. You can share even without your camera on. In fact, I can put my picture down and you can go ahead.
I'm not going to do that because I don't want to mess it up.
Sure.
I mean, we have a good thing going here.
It's working. Yeah, that's fine.
It's working. And last time, the last freeze I did, I was re-pulling up those photos.
Well, that's
and it was like, yeah, as it was downloading it off the server. So,
well, that's
not doing
why
that.
You're trying to get these photos down. Oh, geez.
All right. They're just like photos. Anyways,
well, your internet clearly can't handle it right now, so there you
go. Clearly, yeah. So we got a game in with some of my one of my high school friends, who's a newer player, and Nick, a friend of ours, and Vince. I was in Columbus, and we got to roll some dice. We got my teeth kicked in by hashtag new Slowness.
Yes, you did.
Yes, I did. We played some teams. And it was painful. Hashtag nerf new Slanesh. It was fun. And then hashtag nerf Warden Kings.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it was a very funny turn of events. So it was 2 Cities of Sigmar armies against a team up. I was playing Slanesh, and my team partner was playing Ogres. Mainly relying on Maw tribes, on Gutbuster stuff.
Right.
And
he was wanting to try him out.
Yeah, exactly. And it was which I think is good, because the Ogres they're into gluttony and excess. What better partner could they have than Slanesh, right? And I'll tell you, it was really interesting because I mean, I didn't summon a new keeper that whole game. Now there's a lot of 1 wound models on the other side of the table, right? But as I pointed out to you, like, it would have taken me basically the whole game to get enough depravity for a new keeper, especially against 1 wound armies. Now, I did summon stuff, and it was mainly chariots. Chariots are now the sweet spot for summoning, right?
Yeah.
I think that I like Godseekers in this new world better because of the reliance on charging chariots, and being able to charge on the 8 is really good. You don't need the command points as much because you can't rely on keeper spam. And you really only need the command points to run the keeper spam engine, right? And certainly Locust was like a lot less
potent.
A lot less potent. There were many, things where you were just fighting normally, right?
Right.
Yeah. So, it's just and yes, your Warden King. After, like, my keeper had taken a few shots, errant handgun shots, your Warden King, the regular Dwarf Warden King, came in and one-shotted my keeper because he was the only non-Locust guy, and he came in and did, like, 13 damage to me.
I mean, he had +2 attacks, so he was on 6 attacks.
Sure. Oh, then he hit all 6, wounded all 6, and I failed all 6 saves.
Yeah.
And then you rolled pretty well on damage. So it was pretty great. Like, it was hilarious how it just everything went right for that little dwarf, and he
for that small window of time.
That hero chop. Yeah, there were many other dice rolls that did not go in your favor, like when I zotted one of your units with 1 shot from 2 claws. Yeah. That's not great.
No.
But it was a fun game, and it made, like, I did feel a lot more like, it felt a lot better playing Slanesh from my side with this stuff. So,
did you have any of those photos that I sent you?
I mean, they're all in a chat I can't click over to, Tom. So.
Okay, that's too bad. I was gonna shout out to my friend Dan and his 3D printed Free People's Army.
Yeah, see, before the game that week, he had decided to 3D print an entire army just to see if he liked it and wanted to collect the army. And I was okay.
He went to like the hero creator app or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know what it's called. You know what I'm talking about. Like where you can like create an STL You know what? I love this so much, Dan. I am going to share it just for you
All right.
because
Well,
it's
we're gonna see
just
if it actually works. Okay. I'll minimize my little picture here. Let's see if Tom can share.
Here we go. Can we see that?
Yep. And you're still there.
Okay. And I'm still here. Okay. So like he went and made like a couple custom files for like 2 different types of gunners and a set of guard, and then just printed all of them. And he was like, I'm gonna give this a try this week.
It's ridiculous. Ridiculous. Obviously,
So
the
he shows
Huracanum's
up.
real, yeah, and the Wizards are real.
Yeah. Yeah, he just shows up with this army of like gray 3D printed models, and Vince is like, "What is this?" It was delightful.
Yes, infuriating and delightful. Somewhere between those two. Yeah, sure. Sure, absolutely. He
I got
has
a good
painted
laugh out of it.
armies too. That's what's hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he was playing Hallowheart spamming list, and you were in Tempest Eye. And you both had
Yep.
Bridge, which didn't work out well for you in a team game.
No. I mean, like, we didn't know who we built our 1,500 point list without knowing who our partners were.
Right.
And we like randomly rolled dice.
As we always do. Like when we do these team games, we always randomly determine partners. That way it's not it's much more fun that way, I think, because you have to kind of just be more
flexible.
Yeah.
So, anyways,
have you painted anything since then?
No, like I haven't been home up until like yesterday, and then we finally got home in the holidays, and I had to wrap gifts, and so no, I'm sitting down now, and I'm working on converting some poleaxe Hearthguard Berserkers to broadaxes.
Gotcha. Well, very good. There you go. If you have another picture you want to try, like if you want to bring up your army or something and have that be your picture, it probably, you can give it a shot. If you just want to leave your picture as like your army, we'll see if it works while I'm talking about my hobby time.
Sure, you can do that.
So my hobby time this week, I did a little paint hangout last night. I put together the Slaves to Darkness Endless Spells, which they're real fun looking. I got those for Christmas, so I put them all together. Have to paint them and such. But I love the look of them. They're just like, they're so cool and chaosy.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about whether or not I think they're good. I have more stuff back here. Like, like these. I got this. A couple of those, so I'm excited about that. Excited about all the Christmas goodies. I painted up a bust. I wanted to do something that wasn't Warhammer. So I painted up this little Rackham Goblin bust dude. I'll share some pictures of him. He was fun, and I was playing around with a different type of non-metallic metal, and really, really, really love sort of the colors and combinations that I did there. Like, it came out, in my estimation, actually really fun. So I was happy about that. I want to incorporate that into some other models, so he's good there. He's a fun he was just a nice one-day paint. Go in there, try to do something fun with him. I've had him for years and haven't had anything to do with him. So I thought, what a fun chance to get something out and do it.
Nice.
And then I started working on this Chaos Lord. I worked on him on the stream last night, painted him for a bunch of hours afterward, and ended up hating how he was looking. So I just reprimed him before the show.
Okay.
And I have a new color scheme. I finally settled on a color scheme for my slaves that'll make sense for me in how I want to run them. Because, here's the thing. I don't feel like painting my Slowness color scheme anymore. Okay.
Oh, interesting.
I mean that in the best way possible. Like, you know how much I've painted it, right?
I do.
I mean, I've painted 70 Daemonettes and 5 Chariots and 6 Keepers of Secrets and and on and on and on. Every character, everything. Just like, I've done so much with that army, right?
Yep.
And like, there can become a point where a color scheme, just working in it within a single palette, it just becomes boring, right? But I knew I wanted to be able to like use these in a sort of Slowness way, as well as other things. Like, I want to be able to run it as Khorne sometimes. I don't want to be able to run it as Undivided sometimes or whatever.
Yep.
Never Nurgle, that would be insane. I already have a whole Zine Slaves to Darkness army, so I don't need that. But but the problem was I wanted it to look different, but still interesting.
Yep.
And so what I came to is actually a totally new sort of color scheme that I think is actually the halfway point between Khorne and Slowness, which I know they're opposed forces, but I don't care. I was just thinking through colors, and I was thinking about when I was recording a video, and I was talking about the color of wine, and sort
Yeah.
of
Yep.
how the ocean was described in in Homer, okay, in the
Okay.
Iliad
Yep.
and the Odyssey, and they described it as the color of a deep, like a deep red wine or something is how they described the sea.
Huh.
And I got to thinking about that and implementing that as a color scheme, and that sort of like deep crimson as a halfway point between the red of Khorne and the purple of Slaanesh
Yeah.
slaves
Yeah.
actually seemed like a fun challenge, and I can work in some different colors besides what I normally use, and some that I do normally use, and it'll be just a totally different thing. So there you go.
Huh.
Um,
Interesting.
so it'll be a fun thing. So I'm going to try it with this Chaos Lord first, and that'll be my Chaos Lord on foot. And then it's time to crack open them, start collecting boxes, because I, my friend, am buying for the future, as we'll talk about. But
Okay.
lots of stuff. I've got so much to paint. I'm so excited about. I've got 2 more pieces for a Golden Demon entry, and I got this
Nice.
dude. I got this little 40K guy that I'm super excited about.
Hmm.
Tor Garadon, this guy. I wanted
Okay.
this dude.
Yep.
And my in-laws got it for me for Christmas, which was wonderfully nice of them. He's like the Imperial Fists special
Okay.
character, and I love painting me some Imperial Fists. So this guy will be a fun project to break up for the future. I doubt he'll be for Golden Demon or anything, since I already have an Imperial
A
Fist
40K.
character done for
Yep.
that entry. But there you go. Uh,
Nice.
yeah. And yes, Starlight Night Flame said UB40 starts playing for the Red Wine song. Look, I'm not gonna lie, that was one of my favorite songs when I was that age when it came out. Favorite song of that year, certainly. I loved Red Wine. I was a big UB40 fan, so there you go too. I'll have to make my playlist for this army. It'll include that song.
Yeah.
All right, Tom. Well, sir, shall we? And this is great. What a great picture for you to have up.
Yeah. I thought so.
Yeah, I'll make my face just slightly smaller so I'm not blocking your picture completely. There we go. Okay. So Tom, let's talk about some slaves to darkness. Bum bum bum. The Grand Marshal of the Apocalypse has rallied his forces and is leading them forth from the Varen Spire. From the Owl Gates, from the 8 Points, out they go into the mortal realms, ready to conquer and destroy all those who would oppose the unprecedented, unmitigated, unstoppable might of chaos. Right?
Indeed.
Yeah, so there
Something
you
like
go.
that.
That's the idea of the thing. So let's start with 40,000-foot view, shall we?
Yeah.
Tom, how do you overall? What do you think about this book? What are your highlights? What's your thought?
Yeah, I like it. It's a very it's a very subtle book in a lot of ways. In that, there's a lot of moving pieces, and you need to think about how you want things to operate. And they did really well with the points, because you never have enough.
Right. It's
Um,
definitely a you don't have enough points book. It's very
right.
much like the Bone Daddies in that regard, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I feel that when making lists, that there's problems here, and in a good way, in a not that I hate the book, but just in a no, there's there's it is appropriately appointed, likely.
Yeah, you have to make decisions. Yes.
Yeah, real decisions are made.
Yep.
There are real choice points.
Absolutely.
Let me say it that way.
This is a long way off of a Skaven battletome where it's just everything's cheap and you get to throw everything in. It is definitely not that.
Yeah. I love the change of design direction on battalions. They had lots, and there was a lot that was useful here. This is a far shot from the Fire Slayer battalions, sure, where there were 3.
Mm-hmm.
And they were pretty useful, but there weren't battalions for everything I wanted to do in that book. I wanted a Magmadroth battalion. There wasn't that. Here, if I want to do a Cav list, there's a Cav battalion.
Yep.
If I want to do a generalist, no matter how I'm marked, there's a battalion for that. Yep. If I wanted to do a God specific, there's a battalion. So you can argue that the benefits aren't as good, but I think that the battalions are doing what they need to do in these lists.
Yeah, I agree. So here's my high level 40,000-foot view. I love the book. It's firmly fat middle.
Yep.
The
Yep.
points costs are high right now, and a few of them probably need to be adjusted down, but
Yep.
nothing is too cheap. It's largely absent any glaring issues, save one, which we'll discuss.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, but there's only one problem in here, I think. Everything else is fine. Um uh Blair Jameson said, "Hey, where can I find that pic online? Would love to send to a friend." If you mean Tom's War Shrine that he currently has, Tom, share that picture on your Twitter, and you can follow Tom on Twitter, and that's where you could get it from. If you just
Yep.
search for Warhammer Weekly Tom, you'll find it.
I mean, I think it's probably up there in my Twitter feed at some point.
Yeah, but if you
But it may
reshare,
be a long time ago, so I will reshare this when the show's over.
right? It's a very synergistic book. It relies
Yep.
heavily on synergy to make the overcosted units valuable. And by the way, when I say some of the points are a little high, I literally mean like 1 or 2 units, I think could come
Yeah.
down slightly. I
And
think
by slightly, he means like 10 to 20 points, where
Yeah.
like there's
Yep.
no like gross
no.
overpointing. And I think that there's a couple war scrolls that could use like some like hyper minor tweaks to make them like usable.
It's also interesting to me because it's very much a 2-tier book. Let's start breaking it down. You ready?
Sure.
Oh, we lost signal for a moment, but we're back.
No, I'm here.
No,
Okay.
I know it wasn't you. It was actually the internet. There we go. Okay, we're fine. No, the internet went wonky for a moment, but we're back.
They're coming for you next.
I guess, yeah. Now it's Christmas time. I guess everybody's streaming their Netflix Christmas movies, and
Clearly.
and so and there we go. Well, there you go. It said you dropped for a little while. That's okay. We're back now, and it shouldn't happen again. So there you go. Okay, we're back. Let's start off with the allegiance abilities. First off, the damned legions. This is an interesting solution to the problem. One of the things we've always talked about is one of the great challenges is they have to I love that bunch of viewers dropped off because we froze for a few seconds there. Come back, people. It's okay. We're still here. We didn't go away. I promise. At any rate, I don't know who I'm talking to because if you're still here watching this, you don't hear me. We've always talked about the challenge of balancing these choices, these chamber-like choices,
Yep.
against not having them, right? Like that's classically
Right.
been the choice. You can either take one of the chambers or you cannot. And how do you balance that choice against each other? Well, their solution here was just make it so you must choose one of the 4. How do you feel about that?
I'm fine with it.
Okay. I don't have a problem with it theoretically. I don't actually love any of the chambers they designed. Okay? For how I want to play this army.
I agree, but I don't know that that's a problem. Because like they're not too heavy. Like unlike the other stuff, like if they had made me choose something with like Doc, or made me choose something with like one of the other ones where like I'm losing a trait, I'm losing an item, like I'm having all these hard or Stormcast, where I'm having all these like very weighty decisions made, and I don't like any of those things, then I'm gonna begrudge it. In here, I'm just like, I don't like what I'm doing. Okay, I'll do the spoilers.
That's very true. I mean, it's much more Cities of Sigmar than it is like Stormcast chambers, right? Because you still have a command trait table, you still have an artifact table. You're not making those kinds of trade-offs. We'll get into it. We'll get into it when we get into the 4 of them, because that's how we're going to break this down. Since you must choose one, they become an excellent framing device for how we discuss this army. The 4 are Ravagers, Cabalists, Despoilers, and the host of the Everchosen. Okay. All right. So, and we'll get into those in a minute. Then the other allegiance-wide ability is the Aura of Chaos, where each Slaves to Darkness hero in your army has one of the following Aura of Chaoses, and it's based on their mark. So, like, if you're a Khorne hero, you have the Aura of Khorne, quite obvious.
Yep.
If you have multiple as an option, a la if you're Archaon, you must choose one.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So you can't, like, Archeon does not broadcast the aura of Khorne and Tzeentch and Nurgle and Slaanesh and Undivided, even though he has all those keywords. He
Can
only
I
broadcasts one. Yeah, go ahead.
can I name the elephant in the room, or do we want to like go through all of it and then talk about it?
What's the elephant in the room?
That over a quarter of your war scrolls in this faction do not benefit from their allegiance abilities.
Right, correct. That's what I was going to say. That's why I say it's a 2-tier army, right?
Right.
Because it's completely focused around these marks.
Yep.
And
Your only allegiance abilities, like that are general, are these marks, and heroes become maybe auto dying or maybe gaining some minor perks as the game progresses.
right. Yep.
Okay.
And a huge section of the war scrolls in this book
14
have
to
no
be
mark.
exact.
Yes.
14 of 40.
Yeah.
So over 25%.
Yes. Have no mark nor any ability to get a mark. Right.
Yep. Like, it would have been easier if they just made them undivided. Just auto make them undivided.
Sure, which is what they did with a couple things, right? Which we'll talk about when we get to their scrolls. There are 2 scrolls in here that are just auto undivided.
Right, like Be'lakor.
Yeah, like Be'lakor, exactly. But yeah, I mean, it is. We'll talk to it, but like, it's the Warcry warbands and some of the new monsters and stuff like that. We'll absolutely get into it.
Right.
Okay.
It's egregious, let me say that. Because, like, I don't understand. I don't understand the design decision that was made.
Well, it's interesting because they can still have a use in some of these, but their use becomes very restricted to very particular things. Right.
Yep. They become marginal utility units instead of actual, like, units that you're going to include in an army.
Right. I mean, yeah, they're just cheaper versions of hordes of dudes if you need them. Right, is what it ends up being.
Right.
Okay, so let's go through these real quick. Aura of Khorne. You can reroll. All these are 12-inch bubbles, by the way, and in 3 out of the 4, you have a way to take them to 18 inches.
Right.
Okay, so Holy Within bubbles is who gets this, and they broadcast it out to their troops. Aura of Khorne. You can reroll hit rolls of 1 for attacks made with melee weapons by Khorne units Holy Within 12. In addition, if this model is the general, add 1 to wound rolls for attacks made with melee weapons by friendly slaves to darkness Khorne units Holy Within 12. So reroll hits of 1, and the general broadcasts a +1 to wound. Fantastic, great, right? That's a super solid mark. Love it. No issues, Khorne. Great work, Khorne. You did good. You passed the test. Tzeentch. You can reroll save rolls of 1 for attacks that target friendly slaves to darkness units Holy Within 12. In addition, if this model is the general, each time a friendly Slaves to Darkness Tzeentch unit Holy Within 12 of the model is affected by a spell or endless spell, you can roll a die. If you do so on a 5+, ignore the effects of that spell or endless spell on that unit.
Yeah.
Not as good. The reroll save rolls of 1 is obviously, 1, it's a Mystic Shield spell. 2, there are like 8 million ways in this book to get reroll all saves, including, by the way, just like some units existing, right, in certain numbers, just have this. So it's completely worse duplicative. The ignore endless spells is also similarly like duplicative to a degree with some other abilities. Now, you can stack those, right? Like you can do a 4-up and then a 5-up and then a 5-up. And, you know, okay, that's all right, I guess. Yeah, like that has, I suppose, more value if Tzeentch comes out and is like hyper magic dominant, and just like they're just destroying tabletops, then sure, being able to like layer multiple levels of bounce spells becomes interesting. But
That's right. You're like a how do I want to say it? Yeah, you're like a bad Howlheart.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I agree. Like Tzeentch is, I think, the actual weakest in this of all the potential marks, which is sad. As previously mentioned, I have an entire Tzeentch Slaves to Darkness army already painted. At any rate, Aura of Nurgle. If the unmodified wound roll for an attack made with a melee weapon by a friendly Slaves to Darkness Nurgle unit Holy Within 12 of this ability is a 6, add 1 to the damage inflicted by that attack. In addition, that's the wound roll makes the damage go up by 1. In addition, add 1. In addition, if this model is the general, subtract 1 from hit rolls for attacks made with missile weapons by the target friendly Slaves to Darkness Holy Within 12. Fantastic. Great.
Yep.
I don't like dice splitting like that, where you have to go, this is my damage 1 pile and this is my damage 2 pile or whatever.
Yep. Yep.
But, okay, it's still a really strong ability. Like, +1 damage is, really good.
And
So,
for like an army that struggles with damage, like Nurgle and like, yeah, like this army in general, just Slaves to Darkness has the lacks a real hammer. Like being able to spread out some damage is not a bad thing.
Yep. The Aura of Slowness, basically the base ability turns you into the same normal Slowness thing, where 6s are double taps. If you roll a 6 to hit, you get to get 2 hits out of it. So it's literally the exact same thing from the demons, which I actually don't hate at all, right? Because then it means kind of you still feel like there's a thematic similarity.
Yep,
that I really
it feels like you're playing Slanesh.
Right, exactly. In addition, if this model is the general, you can re-roll run and charge rolls for friendly Slaves to Darkness units wholly within 12. Again, I don't mind that. I think Slanesh is like, okay, it's pretty good. I would rank it like right below the Nurgle and the Khorne, but still in the good section, right? Because not having to blow or waste command points on crap like that is good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's bubbling from every. Sorry, the 6s is bubbling from every hero, but the charge thing could be an 18-inch bubble off your general, right? So that's quite a large bubble of just free rerolls, which is always good. And then finally, the Aura of Chaos Undivided, which I think is the weakest here, but there are other reasons why Undivided is stronger, which we'll talk about later.
Sure.
Because when I say the marks are like that, what I mean is like overall in the totality, I would rank it as Nurgle, Khorne, Slanesh, Undivided, Tzeentch. So
yeah, I think that's accurate.
Do not take battle shock tests for friendly Slaves to Darkness Undivided units wholly within 12. In addition, if the model is a general, you get a 6-up, feel no pain after everything for wounds or mortal wounds. Basically, your heroes all emanate a War Shrine buff. Or sorry, your general emanates a War Shrine buff. Everybody else emanates battle shock immunity. There we go. Which, who cares? Like, okay, I guess battle shock isn't really a
how
thing.
hilarious is that? That in like, do you remember when that was a thing? Like having battle shock immunity was a big deal.
Sure.
Here, you're just like, yeah, if you're near a hero wholly within 12, you're fine.
Well, I mean, this is quite an elite army as well. Like, there are some builds that are very much not elite. But a lot of this in there is not going to put a high model count on the board. Now,
but I'm just bringing to the fact that like that ability itself has like used to be like a big deal.
Oh, yeah,
and now, as we've talked about, battle shock isn't a thing in this game.
Sure. Yeah.
Like that's not a real ability. Like that's not a real effect that happens.
Agreed. I mean, it does every so often. Like 2 or 3 people flee out of a unit, and you're like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
You have the Eye of the Gods, which how that table works now is various Slaves to Darkness heroes have the Eye of the Gods keyword, and if they do, whenever they slay a hero or a monster, you get to make 1 roll on that table for that hero.
And hope it's not Snake Eyes.
Yeah, I mean, if it's Snake Eyes, you turn into a spawn. Like, okay, whatever. Like, there's still, I mean, most of the other stuff here are actually quite good, right?
Yeah.
I would point out that rolling even a 3 still increases one of your weapons' rend by 1, which is like, not bad, right? It's pretty good, actually. Like it's a good reason you want to go hunt heroes. It's a nice bonus that's going to happen every so often. It's not an ability you bank on and go, yes, this is a cool thing I'm going to do. But I mean, all your heroes have this ability. Like all your mortal heroes have this ability.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So it's fine.
It's like your Manticore heroes don't, right?
No, they do. Yeah.
Oh, they do. Wow.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. I had to go look that up. It was one of the first things I wondered about. I was like, I wonder, like, that would really be horrible to
lose your Sorcerer Lord.
By the way, it says your Chaos Lord on Manticore.
It says you can roll. By the way.
Yeah, sure. I mean, but I'm good.
So you can, but I'm saying like you can elect to not roll, like if you're worried about losing it.
Yes. Oh, and that's a good point. On Spawndom, by the way, it says there you can add 1 Slaves to Darkness Chaos spawn to your army. So that's also optional. You don't have to accept the Spawndom. So there you
go. Oh, look at that.
You only slay the guy if you set up the slaves to the spawn. So there you go. No downside.
That's funny.
So always roll. And yes, the Chaos Lords on Manticore and stuff, they do have the Eye of the Gods as well. So, yep. Archaon does not. He already has the Eye of the Gods. There you go.
Yeah.
And you know, one of the things you can do is like you can add a demon prince to your army and then kill the hero and that classic thing. But most of it is just fun stuff that happens. You get a permanent bonus. You summon a couple dudes. Like 9 to 10 is a good roll because you actually get to summon in a unit of stuff like, you know, Bloodletters or Plague Bearers or Daemonettes or Furies or whatever. So that's fun. Their spell lore. Let's talk about their spell lore because that's actually the next thing.
Sure.
Let's frame that up first. They have a wicked good. It's wicked good spell lore. It's wicked good right there, right? I mean, Tom, there. I would argue there's like 5 at least good spells in this list. Okay.
Sure.
And
I love the
couple
tech.
great
I love
ones.
the tech that's available.
Agreed. So, like the important things to hit here are Binding Damnation, 12-inch cast on a 7. Pick an enemy unit. Until your next hero phase, that unit fights at the end of the combat phase, so it's an activation wars piece.
Yep.
I know you love Whispers of Chaos. You want to talk about Whispers of Chaos?
Yeah, so it's like for some they may not not how do I want to say this? Be as hot on it. But for me, it was a really eye-grabbing lore. And so basically what it does or a spell. So it's like it's a horde plinker.
Yeah, Horde Plinker. I think that's what we decided on for 6s, yes.
Yeah, like you choose a unit within 12. You roll dice equal to the number of models in the unit. So they like it's not the number, you don't roll dice for every model within 12. So like if you can touch a unit of 40, you roll 40 dice, right? A 6s do a mortal wound, which is not a lot, honestly. Like, so it's going to scratch a unit. But most importantly is that if any models are slain out of the unit from the spell, the unit can't move until the start of its until the start of your next hero phase.
Yep.
Which means that not only can it not like move, it can't charge, it can't pile in. It can't do anything that constitutes a move. That's really good.
It's a very strong ability. Like being able to lock somebody in place. And you know, this was sort of the spell that made me want to make the worst army ever to play against army.
Sure. Yeah.
Right? Where you're just locking people in place and making them fight last and all this kind of horrible stuff. This was the spell that tripped me into going like, yeah, let's do that. Let's make the worst play experience for your opponent ever.
Yeah, thanks. That was not me. I want to point that out to everybody. I want to be clear. That was not Tom that was wanting to generate that play experience.
I wouldn't actually build the list or play a list, but it's funny that you can make it.
Sure. It is. And it's strong. Like it's not like it's a strong ability because it's like 100 times worse than Rat Trap. In that, like, if it goes off, like you can try, like, so let's say they like bunker, right?
I wouldn't say that. Here's the limitation. You're not stopping big elite units with it, right? Because like you hit a unit of 6 Storm Fiends. Okay.
Right.
No one's dying. Hence they can still move, right?
But like you're stopping chaff walls.
Or yeah, sure, you can lock people in place by just plinging a chaff wall, and if you get one dude dead, then that wall locks in everybody behind them if they can't fly, right?
They can't move. Right.
It's a very versatile spell. Like it's unbelievably good.
And Skaven, oh buddy,
yeah,
like
sure.
Rats, like of the clan rats that normally like want to hit and like retreat, like you know, like charge and retreat and like chaff things up or whatever. You just do that, and then they don't go anywhere. And because they don't go anywhere, like no one behind goes anywhere. Like it's a really powerful tool.
It is. And then the other one that is worth pointing out is the Mask of Darkness, also cast on a 7. And it's also, you have to pick a unit wholly within 12, and you can teleport them. It's a standard teleporting unit. They have to be set up 9 inches away, blah, 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 blah. What's interesting about all these spells that we've picked he likes is they're all casting value 7, and they're all 12-inch casts, right?
Which, so let me just say, it just begs for a Balewind. Because that pushes it out to 18. That pushes out to a real casting distance, as opposed to the 12-inch like needing to be close to get these spells off.
Well, you also like are going to really favor things like arcane terrain, and and we'll talk later. I think there is one of these chambers or evil cities that I
Yep.
think people really don't like or
Yep.
like the least. That I
Yep.
actually think has interesting gas in the engine for various reasons, but we'll
Okay.
come to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, great spell lore, very interesting. 3, I think, great spells. 2 more that are at least interesting.
Yep.
And yeah, there you go. As it was mentioned in the comments, I'll talk it out. Like Spike Tongue Curse is actually a really funny spell. We
Yep.
don't see this kind of design often because it has a casting value of 3, right?
Sure.
And you pick a unit within 12 inches, and that unit suffers 3 mortal wounds just straight out. But if
Yep.
the casting roll is unsuccessful or the spell is unbound, the caster, suffer 3 mortal wounds. So they basically removed the sort of casting roll as
Yep.
a cost to it and just made it completely ride on the unbind or whatever.
Yep.
Don't roll snake eyes. All right. So kind of a fun little interesting design in a spell. Nice little sniper thing though. If you can, if you've I would argue if you're in Cabalist, that actually becomes a pretty interesting tool, by the by, depending on who you're up against.
Sure. I can see that.
All right, so let's go through the evil cities of the Varanspire. So first
Sure.
off, the Ravagers. The Ravagers are your more horde-y focused one, I would argue.
Yeah.
They are more focused on the mortal heroes. So I'll run through it real quick. Their basic abilities.
Yep.
If your general is not a demon prince, which as I said, this is the mortal
Yep.
focused one. So right away, you can pick one command trait for up to 5 different friendly Ravagers heroes, excluding demon princes. In addition to the command trait your general can have, you must pick a different command trait for each of these heroes, and none of them can have more than one command trait. You can use these command traits for these heroes, even though they are not your general. So, cool
Yep.
beans. You get 5. It's sort of like the Claw Lords, right?
Yep.
Where they all show up
Yep.
with their own command trait. And then at the start of your hero phase, you could pick one friendly Ravager's hero, who isn't a demon prince, that is on the battlefield and has a command trait to stake their claim as warlord. If you do so, that hero becomes the army general until your next phase. Obviously, this can be very useful
Yep.
because remember the general will often broadcast a more potent aura of chaos bubble, right?
Right.
So if you need to move the more potent ability around the battlefield, you can do so. That's a nice ability.
Yep.
That's a nice thing. So that's kind of a cool thing you can do there.
Yeah.
In addition, you gain a command trait called Rally the Tribes, where you can summon models.
Command
Each
ability.
general or command ability, yeah, sorry. Each
All right.
general can only do it once, so you can do this 5 times over the course of the game, basically once per round. You have to swap generals to do it, and you can summon in a unit of 10 Chaos Marauders, 5 Chaos Marauder horsemen, or 1 unit of cultists of up to 10 models. Which all of the cultists are the Warcry warbands, right?
Right. Right.
And they walk in from the table edge, within 6 inches, more than 9 away from the enemy. So, okay, fine and dandy. Yeah, that's the basics of it. It's clearly the one that favors mortal heroes. I dig it okay. The command traits aren't terrible. Let me just say that. It's
Right.
like you can get some good. I feel like you can get some good benefits from that kind of stuff.
Totally.
Are there elements in the command traits or artifacts that you happen to like?
I'm a fan of the like up down up 2 or down 2 of the where is it?
Favorite of the Pantheon, the add or subtract
Yeah.
2 from the results made on the Eye of the Gods.
Yes.
Sure.
Yes. Like that. Again, I don't like randomness, and so anything that's going to let me swing something like with a range of 4, like you roll once and you get to choose from 5 different things. That's kind of nice.
Sure.
And then obviously the other big one here is the free once per turn at the double,
Yeah, the problem is it only works on cultists, which I hate. But yes, if
yeah.
you're running a cultist heavy force, sure.
No, but no. What you do is you run one of your power centers, right?
Sure.
Like one of your
I am assuming if you have a significant unit of those guys, that's a
yes,
that's a heavy force based on how much you would normally see them, right?
sure, that's fair. But the
Um,
point being, like you put that hero with whatever block of cultist, the one block of cultist that you run.
sure. I think Eternal Vendetta is the strongest one if you've got a melee hero. And remember, this can go on like it's mortal
Sure.
heroes, but like this could
Yep.
be on your Chaos Lord on Manticore,
Yep.
right? Who
Yep.
can do okay damage. So like, but if you keep layering stuff on him, if he
Yeah.
has like the Corn aura and
Yep.
he has this ability, which is Eternal Vendetta, you can reroll wound rolls for attacks made
Yep.
by this general, which is just always good. And then in addition, you can reroll hit rolls for attacks made by this general if they target order. So like, okay, great. So now if you're in Corn, if you're in
Yep.
Corn, you're rerolling ones to hit all the time, regardless, right? You're rerolling wound rolls and adding one to them for him because he's benefiting from his own aura if he's the general that turn, right? So yeah,
Yeah, like
it's pretty great.
I don't hate that on like a lord on Kakadrak.
Oh sure, yeah, Lord on Karkadrak. That's also
Karkadrak.
great. Yeah, yeah, agreed.
Just because like yeah, if you gave him like the neg 3 Ren like Rune Blade
Yep.
on his attack, suddenly like you're cooking with butter
Yeah, agreed.
in Corn. Yeah. Yeah, it's not bad.
Magic items of note for me here would be basically one. I think there's one okay magic item in here, and that's the the mark of the high favored, which
Sure.
is friendly Ravagers units are affected by the bearer's aura of chaos ability where they are wholly within 18 inches of the bearer. So
Yep.
you can take one hero and broadcast his aura out to 18 inches. So whoever you think is going to be kind of in the middle of the board, moving around with the largest cloud of troops around him, you do have an ability to push that out to 18 inches. So that's cool.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, I
hate
mean, I think
Marauders, and I don't like the Warcry warbands in this army. And, we'll talk about it later. But, like,
yeah.
Marauders are an absolute powerhouse in this force.
Yeah, I mean, I think the strongest thing that this brings is the ability to summon 10 Marauders
Sure.
on a board edge every turn because they will make their 9-inch charge and tie up whatever they hit.
Yep. Should we just
Every
talk about
time.
the Marauder War Scroll? Because it's
Yeah.
really good. And, like, people need to understand why Marauders are really good because they actually don't read super amazing when you first
Yes.
look at them, but they are really strong. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so the basics of Marauders. Chaos Marauders are a battle line unit. You buy them in they're like clan rats. It's a 20-40, right?
Yep.
So 20 of them are 150 points, 40 of them are 300. There is zero horde discounts in this book. Let's just start there. Does not exist. Okay. So, great. 150, 300. Awesome.
Yep.
Okay, Chaos Marauders. 6-inch move, 6-up save, right? They can have either the axe and a Darkwood shield or the flail. I think most of the time you would probably give them the axe, just personal opinion, but the axe is 2 attacks, 4/4, no rend, 1 damage. Fantastic.
Unless you're wanting to convert all your ugly Marauder models from flagellants, and then you'll go for
Sure. And they have pretty standard leadership. Like, that is to say, they got a chieftain who adds +1 attack, and they've got an icon bearer who makes the enemy subtract 1 bravery. Okay, cool. Their drummer gives you +1 to run and charge, which is good. +1 to charge is always amazing, right?
Yep.
Especially when we talk about what's going to happen in just a moment.
Right.
They can obviously take a mark of chaos. They can have any mark: Khorne, Tzeentch, Slaanesh, Nurgle, or Undivided.
Yep.
And now their abilities. Add 1 to hit rolls for attacks made by this unit while it has at least 10 models. In addition, improve the rend characteristic of this unit's melee weapons by 1 while it has at least 20. So these guys in a horde of 40 suddenly jump to 3-up, 4-up, neg 1 damage. Yeah. Pretty good right there.
On 25 mil bases and attacking in 2 ranks.
If you gave them the shields, like the axe and shield option,
Yep.
then you add 1 to save rolls for attacks that target this unit, period. Not just in melee, like this often pops up. It's just all the time. So they basically go to a 5-up.
Yep.
Right? And there are ways to get them onto a 4-up in this book, especially if they're, say, Nurgle marked.
Yep.
And finally, the ability to end all abilities. Oh, dear Lord. Boundless Ferocity. When you make a charge roll for this unit, change the lowest dice in that roll to a 6. If the roll is a double, change one of those dice to a 6 instead. What?
So they always charge 7. So
Well, they always
what that
charge.
means?
They always charge 8 because they always add +1 as well. I mean, assuming their
Right.
drummer's alive. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So they always charge 8.
On a
Stop
Snake
there.
Eyes, they charge 8.
Right. On a Snake Eyes, they charge 8. And so if you don't roll a Snake Eyes,
Yes.
you make a 9-inch charge.
Correct.
So they have a 1 in 36 chance of failing a charge.
Failing a 9-inch charge.
9-inch charge.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. That's crazy. Like, yeah, I agree. Like, that's one of the powers of the Ravagers, that these guys come on the table and can just charge stuff. Right now,
Yeah,
10
like,
Marauders isn't super powerful. I mean, they're still going to be at the 3s, 4s, no rend, whatever.
but they're going to get in, and they're going to tie up an objective that you don't want them on. That's the key, is that they're going to get on they're going to put pressure in spaces that you don't want pressure to be. And guess what? If you don't kill that 10, there's another 10 coming next turn.
Right, exactly. Yep. I mean, it's just an unbelievable ability to move on to the board edge, because you can move on up to 6 inches.
Yep.
And then they can easily charge 9. So they're going to very easily penetrate 15 inches into the board, right, from the edge.
Right.
And many battle plans, as many scenarios, have
objectives
within 15 inches of a board edge, right? That's just the nature of the thing.
Yep.
So you can threaten weakly defended objectives just so easily, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, Marauders are very, very powerful. That ability to just drop 9-inch charges like it's nothing. Like, it is nothing, right?
So, as Vince and I have always said, just roll 9.
Just roll 9 is really something that happens with them. Yeah.
And for them, like, that's a real thing that will just happen. And that's okay for them. Yeah. Like, it makes them strong. It makes them worth the 150 for 20 that you're paying now. Because, like, they have went up in cost.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that Boundless Ferocity ability is just unbelievably good. It's shocking how good it is. So, there you go. That's Marauders. And the key here we need to keep in mind is, remember, they can be marked, so they can have all the bonuses we just talked about, right? So if they happen to be near a Corn hero, then they're going to be on 3s, rerolling 1s, 3s if it's the general, right? Because +1 to wound, neg 1, rend 1 damage. If they're in Nurgle, then every 6 to wound is 2 damage, and they're neg 1 to be shot in melee. And many things we're going to talk about later, because that's not the end of the sort of synergistic buffing, right?
Right.
So, I really, truly hate Chaos Marauders. I have no desire to paint Chaos Marauders at all. I've never liked them. I think they've always, I despise the existing model. Now, you can replace them with things like, you could just go buy Untamed Beasts or Iron Golems or Blood Reavers or Zinj Arcanites and all that, or Gore, right? Gore, actually, you put a little different head on them, or even just use Gore straight. Who cares? They make great Marauders. So it's not like that just the model is tripping me up. I've just never liked hoardy Slaves to Darkness, Like, the idea that one of the best versions of this army is just run 80 Marauders.
Which it is. Like, to be clear, one of the best versions of this army is to run 80 or 120 Marauders.
Right.
It is.
Yep.
And I have 30 converted Reavers painted up. I love my Marauders. I don't know that I want to do 120. I just don't.
Yeah, sure.
And so, to me, that's what's actually keeping me from the army, is that, like, the strongest thing is not something I want to run.
Yeah. Look, I didn't get into Slaves to Darkness to run the unwashed masses, to run a bunch of knockoff Vikings, okay? I got into Slaves to Darkness because I want real steel. You know what I mean? Like,
you want the lords, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, this, I want the thing that is Chaos, the image that set the tone of GW, that made it successful. It was built on the back of the Chaos Warrior. The Space Marine is based on the Chaos Warrior, and the Stormcast is based on the Space Marine, right? Like, it is the beating heart is the Chaos Warrior. And, like, what I want is those heavy armored, red-eyed forces of darkness, the steel-clad legions descending upon the mortal realms, right? That's the fear of chaos. Not a bunch of unwashed hillbillies just running forward with axes yelling. Like, no, that's not interesting to me. If you like that army, cool. I have no issue with it. I'm not impugning your tastes. Super cool. I
You
know a lot
are.
of people love them.
I just heard you impugn their taste.
But
But
like, I get it. I get why people like it. Some people love the idea of like the chaos horde. If that's
right,
your taste, you have an army here that suits this well, right? Like the
yeah,
Ravagers will do great with
and that's
that.
hard. That's hard. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Okay. So, shall we move to the next
yeah.
shall we move to the next dark city?
Oh, yeah.
Kabbalists. Okay. So, let's talk about Kabbalists. Kabbalist is the magic focused one, which obviously Adoy, there'd be a magic focused one, right?
Yep.
So, battle traits. Binding rituals. Basically,
Yep.
at the start of your hero phase, you can pick one friendly Kabbalist wizard to perform one of the following rituals. So you get one of these 2 rituals each turn.
Yep.
You can only do it with one, and you can only pick one. So, Ritual of Sorceress Might. Pick one friendly Kabbalist unit within 3 inches of the wizard performing this binding ritual and roll a die. On a 3+, the ritual is successful, and D3 models from that unit are slain. For each
Yep.
model that was slain by this ritual, add 1 to the casting rolls made for friendly Kabbalist wizards until the end of that phase. This is how Howlheart should have been like this, like from the beginning. The fact that this is limited to a D3, you know, like you should be sacrificing your own people and cutting their throats. I mean, unless you're like the Dark Elf Sorceress or whatever. But
Sure.
this is so limited. One, you have to roll a 3 up to even trigger it, right?
Yep. Yep.
If you get
You
the
only
3
get it
up,
on one person.
exactly. If you get the 3 up, no, you get the bonus to everybody. Okay. If you roll the
Right.
3 up, then you have to kill D3 models in a unit. And then
Yep.
for each model that was slain, you get to add 1 to the casting rolls. So, you know, you're getting an average of +2 to cast.
Yep.
Fine. Okay, cool. And all your wizards get that, which is nice, right? So if you have multiple wizards, they're all inheriting that bonus if the ritual is successful. So
I
that's cool.
mean, yes. Yes. And it is free. Like that's another big difference
Sure.
between Hollow Heart and this. Like that this is um
You're
like
saying I'm
this
just doing this, I'm not spending a command point or whatever.
yeah, there's no command points.
Yeah, sure. But I actually
You're gonna take the snake one and you get the snake model back for free every turn.
sure, it's also 10. It's the Splintered Fang is also 10 models for 70 points as opposed to
Yep.
like the Cypher Lords, which are 8, and the Corvus Cabal, which is 9. Like
Right.
whatever.
You get mono models and you get the snake back every turn.
Yeah,
So
my
like
point
you're
is you're
gonna
going to
do
take something like that. You know?
Yep.
And you're just gonna gut 3 of those dudes. And like you don't care. They're literally there. You're literally there to murder those guys. They just stand around one of your wizards and get like and great. Best use for them I've seen. You want to be part of the horde? This is how you join chaos. Witness the cost. Right? Then your other ritual, the ritual of corruption. You can pick one friendly wizard within 3 inches, roll a 3 up, kill D3 models, and then you pick one predatory endless spell within 12 inches of that wizard. If one model was slain, you can move it 3 inches. If 2, you can move it 6. If 3, you can move it 9. They spoiled this in the preview thing. So you can basically like move endless spells around extra movement. Okay.
Yep.
That's cool. It's situational, highly situational, but
It's
in certain situations, it could be quite good.
yeah. Like being able to shoot like a black sun, 9 inches is nice.
You mean a purple sun, but or do you mean like Soundgarden has showed up and started playing Black Hole Sun?
Black Hole Sun. Soundgarden. Like you just need to push that stuff away. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. And then finally, Magic Kabbalist Wizards know an additional spell, which is kind of cool. In addition to any others they know. Crippling Ruin, casting value of 7. If successfully cast, pick one enemy unit within 18. And visible to them, that unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. In addition, reduce the move characteristic of that unit by the number of mortal wounds inflicted by this spell until your next hero phase. So, okay. You can subtract 2 inches of movement from a unit. Sometimes interesting if you're dealing with, like, move 5 units,
Sure.
Moving them to 3 is actually kind of a thing that matters. But, like, not the biggest deal. Just, okay, fun. They have an extra spell. Fine enough.
Yep.
It should be noted this is the only one that this is the only tribe that doesn't have an ability to push the aura of chaos out to 18 inches.
Yep.
they did this thing I really hate in the command traits. So I want to talk about Mighty Ritualist and Blasphemous Influence.
Yeah.
It would be obvious to me that there would be a command trait for your general that says he can now ritual on a 2-up.
Yep.
Right? That would be, and I looked when I first got the book and I was like, oh, yay, this thing exists. Because as soon as I read it, I was like, I bet there's a thing that gives me +1. Let me look across the page. Oh, there is. And then I read it and said, when this general attempts to perform a ritual of sorceress might, that ritual is successful on a 2+. I was like, wait a minute.
And you're like, womp, womp, womp.
Wait a minute. Oh, that's only one of the 2 rituals. That's right. You have to pick only one of the rituals you're actually going to get the bonus with.
So when this general performs the ritual of sorcerer's might.
Yeah, exactly. So when the general does it, and only the general, you can move that one ritual to a 2-up. Great. Fantastic. Wonderful. That's what I wanted. Okay. And then this other super powerful ability that had to be limited to once per battle. Once per battle, when this general successfully performs a binding ritual, for each model slain by that ritual, you can heal 1 wound. Ho, 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 ho. Oh. Once per game, I can heal 2 wounds? Oh, sign me up. The command traits of the Kabbalists are straight garbage, which just makes me want to take Be'lakor as my general. But he's better in like the spoilers. So,
yep.
Maybe. I mean, I don't know. Like, he's pretty good in the magic casting one too, I would add, right? Like, he is a double caster.
Yeah, he is. Like, I just don't like.
Go ahead.
I don't like the city. Like, I don't like the like. I'm normally like a magic person.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not interested in this battalion or this city. The Kabbalists.
Okay, let me tell you why I like the Kabbalists, and I think it's actually secret good tech. You ready?
Okay. Yep.
Every list I've built with this army contains at least 2, if not 3 spellcasters.
Sure.
Because their spells are very powerful. Right?
Yep.
This is an army all about... Well, go ahead.
And almost all of them are single casters.
And almost all of them are single casters. Not all, but almost all.
Yep.
This is an army all about synergy, right? And like getting units to actually punch at their weight for their point cost, right?
Right. Yep.
Getting your spells off is one of the most critical things you can do to be successful with this army. Being able to teleport, being able to, and some of these casters, by the way, have bonkers spells, like just on their war scroll. I mean, we'll talk about the casters here. I want to jump to some of their scrolls. Getting their spells off is the one, to me, is like an absolute recipe for success. Okay? If I can just land my spells, if I can make a unit not move, if I can teleport my unit, if I can have my Sorcerer Lord on Mana Core successfully Wind of Chaos, right? I will win the game. Okay? And as you mentioned, these are all light touch enough, right, that I'm not paying anything, that like, it's actually worth it. I look at it just as a supplementary benefit. I'm not trying to synergize the whole force.
Right.
Like I'm doing with the other ones, right?
Yeah.
I'm trying to add one more utility piece to my Swiss Army knife.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
And
I
this actually does that really well, because if I have 3 casters and I've got a general who goes and ices 2 dudes and all those guys go +2 to cast.
Yep.
Suddenly my chances of getting off all those 7 spells is really high, right?
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. Yep.
So yeah, I mean, that's sort of, I do wish they had your wizard may cast an additional spell artifact.
Yeah, like
they don't.
For me, like the thing that's just so egregious here is that they're all like 1-cast wizards.
Sure.
And except for Be'lakor. Like I just don't want to build my list around a bunch of 1-cast wizards.
I get that. I would point out you can ally in, depending on how you're going, several interesting 2-cast wizards.
But you can't. They don't get any of those benefits.
Yeah, that's correct. But I'm just saying they will be 2-cast wizards. So like you can have multiple. You can have double casters in there if you want.
Right, but they're not actually doing they're not getting the +2 to cast or whatever.
Sure, because they're not a Kabbalist wizard. I understand.
Right, because they're not a Kabbalist wizard. So I just I just really struggle with this allegiance because of not because of what it is. I struggle with it because of what it's bonusing, like
Yeah,
what's actually receiving these benefits.
I get it. Here's my argument. You ready?
Yep.
I don't like what any of the other ones are doing at all. Okay.
Okay.
Like, I don't want to summon dumb barbarians because I'm not painting
Yep.
a horde of barbarians.
Yep.
I don't like the Despoilers one in general, even though I think it's probably the most powerful. We'll talk about it in a minute. And I'm only using Host of the Everchosen if I'm actually running Archaon, which,
Right.
whatever. That is the most linear build in this whole thing.
Sure.
Right? So
Yep.
why not run one that just gives me extra free bonuses? I'm not building the list around it, Tom. That's the key.
I hear that.
See, you're like, the way you're thinking about it, you're trying to make the whole list work as one unified push. I'm saying, no. That's not what I want. Right?
No, I understand. Like you want a toolbox army, and this is the most generic command trait or command a bit like the most generic city faction benefit out of all of them that does not require anything of you other than to put wizards in your army.
Sure. Absolutely correct. Yep, that's right. Just like have some wizards and this does something. You know what I mean?
I hear that. And and my argument is going to be I'd rather do Despoilers, even in that world, because I'm going to include a demon prince.
Fair enough. I mean, so let's just talk about casters real quick, shall we? Like, let's
Yep.
Okay. So we've got the Gaunt Summoner on disc of Tzeentch, who is a double caster and who is very fast, but like very, very fragile, right? Like super duper fragile. He's 260 points. He can automatically summon a little unit onto the board, which is kind of cool. All right. He does have a better save against a very small sliver of units, namely things that don't fly and or not a monster.
Yep.
And yeah, I mean, and he has a decent enough spell, right? Like he has a horde reducer spell.
Hard pass on that guy
because of his expense to squishiness ratio.
Yeah, like 5 wounds on a 6-up save.
6 wounds
for 6 wounds on a 6-up save for 280 points. Nope.
260, but sure, I get it. You're right. He's very fragile. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
I'm just saying he is a double caster.
Now, like in Tzeentch, like if somebody were to say, "Well, in Tzeentch, I'm summoning a pink horse, unit who's going to be its own caster and who's going to give me summoning points and blah blah blah." Okay, I hear that.
Sure, in Tzeentch itself, allegiance. Yeah, I agree. Yep.
Like he's not a terrible choice in Tzeentch, but we're not in Tzeentch. We're talking Slaves to Darkness, and pass. Anyways, continue.
Fair enough. Okay. I still think it's like, I think he's an interesting option. I don't think he's totally worthless at any rate. Chaos Sorcerer Lord on Manticore. My actual favorite sorcerer, my favorite caster in the book. Same cost, 260, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he's obviously on a Manticore, 12-inch move, 12 wounds, 4-up save. Nice save for a caster, right?
Yep.
His damage is like in melee is okay. it's okay. If given a bunch of the buffs, he will do some damage. He will average like 5 to 7 damage if buffed with some of the abilities in here. So you can't rely on him for a lot. But, he hits harder than like random wizard with stick. So there you go.
Yep.
But
you can actually push him into things.
Sure. He can be given any of the marks except Khorne, obviously, because he's a wizard.
Weird.
Yeah. But this guy, I love everything about this dude. So again, he's 260. He does have Eye of the Gods, so if he does happen to kill, heroes or monsters or whatever, he does get to roll, which is cool. In your hero phase, and he has 2 really, really good things. 1, Oracular Visions. In your hero phase, you can pick 1 friendly Mortal Slaves to Darkness unit, wholly within 12. If you do so, you can reroll all save rolls for attacks that target that unit. Fantastic. Like, that's absolutely great. Again, another one of those places I mentioned the reroll all saves. So wonderful. By the way, he can just do that to himself, right?
Right. And he's not a bad option for that.
Sure. He also has a great spell. He is a single cast wizard, but he has a spell called Wind of Chaos. Again, cast on a 7, but it's a unit within 18. Roll a number of dice equal to the number of models in that unit. You only have to tag the little itty bitty baby corner of the unit. And you roll a number of dice equal to that unit. On a 5, they suffer 1 mortal wound. On a 6, they suffer D3 mortals. Whoo!
Yeah,
I like
that
that.
moves it back to Horde Killer.
Yeah, that goes up to Horde Killer. You got it. I like that dude a lot. A lot. And I
Yep.
want to give that guy +2 to cast. A lot.
Sure. No, I get that. I do.
And then finally, our other one, our other sort of stock standard one of note we should mention is the Chaos Sorcerer Lord on foot.
He is my caster selection.
Sure. He's great. He's 110 points. 5 wounds, 4 up save. He, whatever is Garbo in melee like most casters. He has the Oracular Visions again ability, same as the big guy. And he has a spell called Demonic Power, same name spell as he used to have. He is a single cast wizard, by the way. Casting value of 6, 1 friendly Mortal Slaves to Darkness unit wholly within 18. Nice big range. You can reroll hit and wound rolls for attacks made by that unit until your next hero phase, which is a really good spell. Like, that is a stupid good spell.
Yeah, Demonic Power. So do you know why he is my caster pick?
Because he's cheap, still packs the visions, and has a really powerful buff. I mean, doesn't
Yeah,
really
I mean,
unpacked that
visions,
much.
yes, but like to put a fine point in this, like visions is a buff that is functionally like a better Mystic Shield for free that you don't have to roll for.
Sure.
And so he is, as long as you're willing to always have him cast functionally Mystic Shield, he's functionally a double caster.
Yeah. And Be'lakor is also a caster, but we're going to save him for the next one. There's a reason I didn't talk Be'lakor yet.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Okay.
Of note, there are no demon princes other than Be'lakor that are wizards.
Correct. So let's do that. Let's talk about despoilers. Tom, I'm going to let you take despoilers because this is really yours. Like, you're on about this one. You like it. Do you have the rules in front of you where you can break this one down?
I do. Yeah, absolutely. So for despoilers, it is the more demon prince oriented faction. I don't know how, like, I don't even know what we're calling these. Clan. So what it does is sacrilegious might. It friendly units with the same Mark of Chaos keyword as your general are wholly within 18 are affected within 18 inches. And so what that means is basically for your general's trait gets pushed out 18 inches instead of 12.
Yep, automatic in the thing, which is great.
Automatic. In addition, your general, if he is a demon prince, despoiler's demon prince, he gains a 5+ after save.
Right. So 2 really solid abilities right off the rip if you're using a demon prince general. 2 very solid abilities that, by the way, would apply to Be'lakor.
Right. Yeah, he will broadcast an 18-inch Ever Chosen, or Chaos Undivided aura, and he will gain a 5+ extra after save. That's Sacrilegious Might. This is for the okay, and so then blessed by the Unholy. In your hero phase, you're gonna roll a dice for each demon prince in your army and monster in your army on the battlefield. Mm-hmm. On a 4+, that demon prince or monster heals the D3 wounds. Unfortunately, Mutaleth Vortex Beast only heals 1.
Why? I know because the Vortex Beast heals as well himself automatically.
Right. He has his own.
I assume is why that happened.
Yeah,
That's
they're just afraid
dumb.
that he becomes a healing monster.
Yeah, look out for that 170-point bad monster. This is one of those things somebody should have got in there and struck through this text in editing.
Yeah.
There's no reason for that exception. That is extra text serving nothing, stopping nothing. Right. Okay? The Vortex Beast has never been a good monster. I love it. I've used it in tournament armies because I think it's super fun. And it does funny random stuff. It's a super Timmy monster. It's completely unreliable. Why? Strike this text. This is the kind of stuff that needs to get edited out. Not because it's broken or powerful, just because it's unnecessary.
Yes. It's unnecessary, like, limitations and minutia.
It's unnecessary complexity.
Yes. Regardless, let me just say, like, this is a nice hidden Benny. Like, that a lot of people, like, when they're evaluating this, I don't know that they fully, like, because this applies to all monsters, your Manticore Riders, a bunch of your random, like, foot guys of, like, the Sphere ranks, I believe, is also a monster.
Yes, he is. The Sphere is a monster. Yep, that is correct.
And so like there's just some interesting like your Crusher, your Formoid Crusher, if you were
Also
to
a
run
monster.
him,
Yep.
also monster. Like it touches a lot of things that you may not anticipate. Let me say it that way.
Sure.
And so I like it. Like I am a fan of that. And obviously like this adds more utility to Be'lakor. Like Bellacor's good. What's better? Be'lakor that has a chance of self-healing. Like I am a fan of that. Interestingly though, it does not touch the Chaos Lord on Karkadrak.
No,
Which
he's
makes
not
me
a monster.
yeah. But he's already has a chance to heal a mortal wound, or not a mortal wound. He already has a chance to just heal a D3 anyways. Or well, like if he's killing things. And so that might be too much. But regardless, I am a fan of that ability because
Yeah, I
again,
love
it's
how we
something
can
small.
push Be'lakor to like high heavens and back,
Yeah.
and that's just fine. But God forbid the Mutalith Vortex Beast heal
Yep.
2d3 wounds.
Yeah, totally. And then finally, Twisted Dominion.
Yeah, you want to stop with the foreplay and get to Twisted Dominion, the thing we all actually are here for.
Okay, sure. So if a friendly, I'm going to be very careful about how I read this because I'm going to tease out a combo here in a minute. If a friendly Despoiler's Demon Prince finishes a move within 6 inches of a terrain feature.
Pause for emphasis. Yes.
Yeah. Finishes a move. Notice no qualifications on a move. You can give a terrain feature the Pitch Black and Nightmare Chasm scenery rules until your next hero phase. Despoilers, Demon Princes, and Despoilers monsters are unaffected by the scenery rules. So you can okay, so what these two things do, Pitch Black is models that are not visible if an imaginary line 1 millimeter wide drawn between them passes more than 1 inch of terrain piece. Over more than 1 inch of this terrain feature. So it cuts line of sight. For those inside, notice that if it's a piece of terrain that you can put the monster on, you can hide the monster inside the terrain piece or the Demon Prince.
He can see out, they can't see in.
He can see out, like Be'lakor can go hide in a terrain piece and free cast out without being able to be attacked.
Yep.
Or targeted.
Yep.
Or if you had a Demon Prince that had a really good command ability, he could hide there and just use his command ability.
Yep.
And then the other thing it does at the start of the hero phase, roll dice for this terrain feature on a 6. Units within 1 inch take a D3 mortals.
Who cares?
So,
erase that text. It doesn't matter. It could be the ipsum lorem text. All that matters is that pitch black thing. The fact that you can set your demon princes and monsters and other things, by the way, if you given a certain magic item that we're going to talk about in a moment, into terrain where they can just free cast and free, work out of, and nobody can see them to target them because the vast majority of spells and ranged attacks require line of sight. Is ungodly powerful, right?
Yeah, and notice that the movement is within 6 inches, and it's just a move, and so it's not
and this doesn't take a command point,
right?
Okay, this is every time you move. So when your guy moves, he can turn something pitch black. When he
piles in,
he can turn something pitch black. When he piles in, he can turn something pitch black. And this is every demon prince you have, every round.
Yeah,
doing this.
Yeah.
Every terrain piece on the board
if you have
is
a normal, if they're near it, it is pitch black.
Yeah.
And it has a chance of kicking out mortals for nearby units. I'm going to just move on to the traits because if that wasn't egregious enough, let me say that.
Sure.
I'm not going to read anything but the only one that matters here.
The only one that matters. That's right. Because, hold on, Tom. Let me read the one that doesn't matter. Because when you're looking through this list, you might look at Distorting Miasma and go, oh, you can give a terrain feature the Pitch Black and Nightmare Chasm scenery rules if this general, this is a command trait, obviously, finishes a move within 9 inches of it. And you go, okay, that's actually, bit of a difference there. By the way, all the command traits are for Despoilers, Demon Princes only, right?
Yep.
Okay, so obviously you can't give these to old Be'lakor. You got to pick a normal Demon Prince. But you read that and you go, okay, that's kind of cool. That's neat. I can extend that range out to 9 inches from 6. That's a difference. And then you read the one right below it and you go, with everything you've just said, you go, oh, never mind. Because read the only command trait worth taking. Go ahead.
So Paragon of Ruin says that after setup is complete, but before the first battle round begins, roll a d3. A D3 friendly despoilers units can move up to 5 inches.
Mm-hmm.
And you go, okay, so you get for some, they go, well, what's the big deal?
Who
Well,
cares? D3, let's say 2 units get to move 5 inches before the game starts.
2 units get to move 5 inches. So on one hand, on some objectives, it's going to help screen objectives, right?
Yep.
Or push a bubble out so that your main units, it makes it much harder to get into your main units.
Push your shaft walls out farther. Yep.
Yep. And in some armies, that's going to be a really big deal, right? Because what it lets you do is it lets that pre-move. We've talked about this before with archers and other things that have always had this pre-move. It's effective. But actually, that's not what's powerful here.
Nope.
What's powerful is the fact that you can make a D3 of your demon princes move pre-game, move them into terrain pieces, and immediately block line of sight before the game begins.
Yep. So whether you go first or not is irrelevant because you've already turned some number of pieces of terrain pitch black and stuck your demon princes inside, and now they're untouchable, even if the other player has the first turn.
So if they're playing, KO, they're going to assassinate them. No, they're not. They can't touch the demon princes.
Yep.
Because it doesn't matter if they outdrop you. You're still going to move your demon princes into the terrain and cut off all line of sight.
Yep.
It's really good.
It is really good. You can also take a magic item out of this called the Realm Warper's Twist Rune, where friendly despoilers units wholly within 12 of the bearer are unaffected by the Pitch Black and Nightmare Chasm rules.
Which is neat.
Which is neat. So other units besides your demon princes and monsters can see through it. Which, okay, cool enough.
The funny thing is that that's not what really grabs my attention.
No, I'm sure it's not, because there are 2 others that actually grab my attention out here. What's the one? Sure. I'm just saying, it's a neat thing. I don't know where it would really matter, but it is neat that you can do that. What grabs your attention? Because I know why you would say so.
Doom, you can turn 1 charge the demon princes, but if the terrain is in their zone, they could have screened it, or heaven forbid they move both. They what if they deploy in the terrain? They move 1 unit to screen the demon princes, and then have the other demon prince turn the terrain into line of sight cutting.
Yeah. What we're specifically talking about when we say they can't be touched is we mean by magic, most of which requires line of sight, and shooting, which requires line of sight. You can still charge a thing you can't see and go fight it. So somebody could go beat them up in melee.
But you have to get a unit in there, which is a lot bigger of an ask.
Sure. Yeah, we're just saying if you're looking at a world where that alpha striking magic or shooting will be possible, which is very we just mentioned, by the way, the top of the show, that there is this box set coming out that contains KO and Tzeentch.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Both of which seem like that's what they're going to do, is be able to drop some hot heat on you at the top of 1. And nope, this guy says nope. Pope and nope.
Yeah. And for me, I think about this obviously from the perspective of Nurgle, because Nurgle's what I have, and that's what I would run. And I'm going to be projecting bubbles around my demon princes. My general is going to project a -1 to hit bubble, and the demon princes can be lookout sword, right? Or no?
They're monsters.
They are monsters? Oh yeah. No, they're not.
No, they're not.
Demon princes are not monsters. There it is. I didn't think they were. Yeah. So demon princes are not monsters, which is why it doesn't just say chaos monsters. It's chaos monsters.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Which means that in Nurgle, all of my guys, if I came with an 18 to the general, are going to be -2 to hit and shooting.
Sure.
So there's that as well. And then finally, so the 2 items. The first and the foremost, the one that's going to grab most people's attention, is just gain before the battle run starts a D3 extra command points start of the game.
Yep. Diabolic Mantle.
Yep. Diabolic Mantle. That's kind of good. A free D3 command points for an item. I'll take that. And then depending on your build, the Helm of Many Eyes that grants the bearer and their mount the start at the start.
They gain always strikes first. Yes.
Yeah.
If they charge.
If they charge, right.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. which is decent. It's not bad.
No, it's not bad.
It's decent.
Again, pretty powerful on like say the appropriate Chaos Lord on Manticore or a Chaos Lord on Karkadrak or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not terrible.
Given that guy, obviously Demon Princes already have ASF, so there's no purpose there.
Right.
But
Right.
But it's cool. Although, ironically, if you did have that magic item on a Demon Prince, you could end up in situations where it's actually beneficial, given the thing we talked about. But hopefully that all gets cleaned up soon. So let's talk about Demon Princes and Be'lakor, shall we?
Sure.
Because they're the sort of obvious next thing to talk about. Let's start with the basic Demon Prince.
Yeah. I like this guy.
Yeah, I mean, he's good. I am kind of sad that he lost his ability to be a caster in any way. That's kind of unfortunate. Yep. But whatever, that's fine. 210 points. Obviously, he's a leader. 12-inch move. He flies because he's got wings and stuff. Yep. And 12-inch move, 8 wounds, base 3-up save, which is awesome. I love that he moved to the 3-up base save.
Yep. And he's not a monster, so he gets terrain if he's in it.
Can take a mark. Cannot take a mark of Undivided. Can only take Khorne, Tzeentch, Nurgle, or Slowness. The only Undivided Demon Prince is Be'lakor. So
that's true.
There you go. They get +1. Like, they have a decent selection of a melee profile, which looks basically like it used to. Hasn't changed that much.
Well, they also have Always Strikes First, so it's a decent profile with Always Strikes First.
Correct. No, I was just saying, like, their axe or sword plus talons. It's more or less the same it's always been. Yep. And, yes, they get +1 to hit if they charged. And, their weapons do different things. It's fine. Whatever. And they have ASF built into them. Like, they do Always Strikes First. And then, most importantly, so let's get into it, Tom. Here we go. Demon Princes have moved from sometimes a caster to always commanders. They are your commanders. As such, they have a command ability, namely 1 for each mark. Right?
Yep.
You must give them a mark, and it must be one of the 4 gods. Demon Princes are always marked to one of the 4 gods. So, here we go. Bloodslit Ground. We start with Khorne. Use this command ability in your hero phase if they have a Khorne keyword. If you do, until your next hero phase, run and charge rolls made for enemy units within 18 inches of this model are halved. Whoa. So that's pretty good. Pretty good.
Yeah.
That's a strong one. Now, doesn't have normal move, but it does have charges, and having charges makes a huge deal.
Mathematically, having charges is like crippling. One of the most powerful abilities in the game.
Yes, because if they don't have a flat bonus to counteract that, like if they're not under the effect of cogs or something,
you will charge 3 inches on average.
Correct. Yep. It turns like that 7-inch charge into basically impossible. Right?
Yep.
This guy was part of my how to make you have the worst experience ever in the world. All right. Arcane Influence, the Tzeentch ability. You can use this command ability at the start of your hero phase. If you do, pick 1 friendly Slaves to Darkness Wizard, wholly within 12, add 1 to casting rolls for that unit.
Aw, it's cute.
That's so awful. So
it's so cute.
He's not a caster, so he can't pick himself. And you get to spend a command point to pick 1 wizard to give them +1 to cast. Way to go, Tzeentch. Way to go. I hope you got better stuff coming in your own book.
And it's not even like any wizard. It's like any Tzeentch wizard. It's a Slaves to Darkness wizard.
I know.
So like in a Tzeentch book, like Allegiance list, he's like not good. Like, if you could do that +1 to like a bird.
If it was an aura, if it was sure.
Yeah.
It's just so bad. Again, pointing towards Tzeentch being the worst. Because there's one more time we're going to talk about Tzeentch being bad. Okay.
It's so cute.
It is cute. You ready to talk about the most broken thing in the book, Tom?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Sure. Let's talk about Bloated Blessings. Oi Shinoi, the thing that we know is going to be FAQ'd because there's no way it couldn't be. The only question is how.
How? Mathematically, this ability cannot exist in the game.
No. This would become this is broke. And I'm generally hesitant to use
Yeah.
that ability. Just use that
You'll use
moniker.
language of bent
Bent.
for things like Hearthguard Berserkers at 400.
Correct.
This is like saying 20 Hearthguard Berserkers for 200 points.
Right. This is straight broken. Here we go. It will be changed. Bet on it. How? Don't know. You can use this command ability at the start of your hero phase if they've got the Nurgle keyword. If you do, pick one friendly Slaves to Darkness Nurgle unit wholly within 12 inches of this model. Until your next hero phase, if the unmodified hit roll for an attack that targets that unit is 6, the attacking unit suffers D3 mortal wounds after all of its attacks have been resolved. What this means, let's go ahead and break this down, because its true brokenness is not immediately apparent.
Right.
1, it works on all types of attacks. So I, the Demon Prince, pick a unit. I say that unit. Anytime someone rolls a 6 to hit against you, that unit suffers D6 mortal wounds. So if
D3.
I attack you, sorry, D3, yeah. So if 20 attacks go against that unit and they roll 4 6s, that's 4d3 mortal wounds. Shooting or melee.
Kick back 8 mortal wounds from 20 attacks.
Correct. Broken point number 1, it works in shooting.
Now, and by the way, none of those attacks actually have to hit, or like actually have to wound
resolve or do
damage.
anything. Yeah. It could be into your like Chaos Warriors who were on a 3-up rerollable save with a 5-up after save and whatever.
So the Chaos Warriors could take all the attacks, take no damage, and then kick back like 8, 16, 30 mortal wounds.
Sure. So step 1, it works on shooting and melee. Step 2, it's stackable as it's currently phrased. So you can keep layering this ability on them, and it will keep triggering additional D3s for every 6 they roll to hit. So now those 4 6s, let's say you take that command or that artifact we just talked about that gives you D3 extra command points. You got 3 hot, you rolled well, you got 3 hot command points burning in your pocket. Right? And so you're like, well, triple tap this unit of 40 Marauders that I know is going to make the charge, by the way, who are themselves on a 4-up charge, that I'm going to just literally throw at the enemy this round. I'm just going to throw these 40 Marauders on a 4-up save wildly into combat, and I'm going to triple tap them with this. And I'm going to go right down your line and engage your whole army and make every unit you have fight. Okay?
Right.
And chances are, I will force, because you can't choose not to attack, I will make your whole army attack this unit of Marauders who could potentially be on a, it could potentially be on like, yeah, we'll discuss what's going on in the comments now later. Clearly right now it triggers on everything. I've seen arguments to say it only triggers once. It doesn't. Right now it triggers every time, or at least it would need to be FAQ'd either way. I don't care. That's one very strong reading, is that it triggers this way. I don't disagree with the potential that our viewer Chiz is right, that like they'll retcon it to just be one single D3 and not a ton of D3s. That could be one way to fix it. I completely agree. And like that might be how they end up giving what they intended based on the wording, but that isn't what it says.
So by the way, Heart Piercer Shield as an example, like Heart Renders, you know, the bladed shields from Daughters of Cain, all of them have the identical wording, and all of them have been ruled to kick back all mortals on all 6s.
Sure.
Yeah.
But
so
I mean,
we have examples of this that have
process.
been in the meta.
Yeah. Much later in the process being on 6s.
Yep.
But either way, it doesn't matter. It's going to get FAQ'd. I'm just explaining why it's broke as a joke right now. So if in that situation, I just shoved this unit of 40 Marauders all the way down your line. I'm going to make every unit attack them. They might be on 4-up, re-rolling something, 5-up after save, whatever. Who cares? Your whole army is going to attack, and every 6 that your whole army rolls is going to kick back 3d3 mortals into them. Fantastic. Like this is a nuclear option if it remained as it's printed, right?
Yep.
It would simply become like the instantaneous pick. Period. So it has to be fixed. It's the broken thing in the book.
Yeah, like a block of like 20 Hearthguard Berserkers are going to do about as much damage to like a Chaos Warrior unit as they're going to take to themselves from this thing. Like, and Hearthguard are your best bet because they have a 4-up after save to shake those mortals.
Sure. I mean,
Like
it melts
things
anything that hits it.
like skeletons or Doc or any of those things just auto die.
Yeah,
When
most
they
units just auto die when they hit this. Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. So, like, let's go ahead and get that fixed, and then we can all move on with our lives. Okay, great. So that's why that's horribly broken and needs to be fixed.
Yeah. It's just, it's so powerful. It's so powerful. And it just can't stay as it is.
And you know, Ghost one said, but if it was reverted to a single D3, wouldn't it be just bad? Yeah, maybe. Like, I don't know, man.
It would
There's
be
10
it would
different
be.
ways it can be fixed. Maybe it
So
just
here's
should
the
be
deal.
bad. Like the Tzeentch one's bad. Maybe this one could be
Right.
bad too.
Right. Well, that's the point. Like, I would never spend a command point for the possibility of a D3 mortals. Because that's what you're asking. Because people can just choose not to attack that unit, or they might not roll 6s.
Well, again, you're always shoving this unit into them. Like, that's the play here. Because the answer of, well, I just would attack that unit. Oh, no. I'm not giving you that choice.
Right. But what I'm saying is that, like, boy, you're putting a lot of conditionals into the ability to do a D3 mortals.
Yeah, I understand that. I don't know what the right answer is to fix it, and I don't care. Just fix it somehow.
Like, so if I were, like, I'm not balancing this. I'm not, like, I have no sway on these types of decisions, or any types of decisions, in fact. But if I were to fix this, I would make it non-stackable, melee only, and kick back 1 mortal per natural 6.
Which is still very powerful.
But it's not game-breaking powerful.
It would still make Nurgle the best one.
Yes, but it's still, you're right. It would make Nurgle the best one, but it's not, I would say it's not even bent. Because, again, the unit has to be wholly within 12 of the Demon Prince.
I get it.
That Demon Prince can't hide in terrain if the unit that he's buffing with this has to be wholly within 12 of it.
I don't know about that. That very much depends on the terrain on the table. But still.
And the other thing that I would do is I would make it, as Sajil just observed, I would make it, you trigger it at the beginning of the combat phase, and it lasts for that combat phase. Sure. Right now, it lasts for like a turn and a half if you get doubled.
Sure. Which is your best case scenario. You just want that to happen. When you've got, when you've got this huge block of Marauders or Chaos Warriors into them, you're welcoming the double turn. Yes, please continue to kill yourself on my army at no cost to me.
Yeah.
You know, at any rate. Revel in Agony, which is the Slowness one, is so bad and so dumb and so convoluted, I'm not even going to read it. Because it just, like, I'm serious, it's just the worst. Like, it makes, nope, we're not reading it. Don't worry about it, you'll never use it. There you go. That's the answer. So, even if you love Slowness, it's just not good. Yeah, so that's regular Demon Princes. You want to talk about Be'lakor real quick while we're on the
And by the way, if they did nerf it to bad, like the Nurgle one, this unit needs to drop down to like 160.
I disagree highly, but it's okay. We can, like, look, man, I'm playing in a Slowness Mark or a Tzeentch Mark army. I don't get a discount, okay, for having my crappy not functional marks or command abilities. So, just because, like, it's whatever.
Sure.
Like, he's a good hero with a decent damage potential and interesting abilities, especially when he's run into spoilers. So I think he's just fine. Mr. Turn all the terrain on the table into line of sight blocking. No, he's doing just fine. Just fine. Okay, Be'lakor. Be'lakor is marked Undivided automatically, which is interesting. Now, there's a couple units that are marked Undivided automatically. And he's one of them. He is a 12-inch move, 8 wounds, 4-up save. But, so, like, he has 1 worse save. But he is ethereal, basically. He has shadow form, which makes him ethereal, which is cool. So that's awesome. Nope, Siri thought I was talking to her. I must have said something like that. Because I said ethereal.
You said seriously, or oh yeah, I think you said seriously.
and then most importantly, as I said, he has a 2-cast wizard. His spell is okay, but you're taking Be'lakor for 1 ability. Tom, would you like to read out one of the most powerful abilities that's ever been printed on a war scroll?
Yeah.
Namely, the Dark Master.
Yeah, I know this because I used to run this. My
You
first
used to
attempt
run it when it had a worst percentage chance.
Right, right. Like it just got better. Like I've been a fan of Be'lakor since I painted the army that you see the War Shrine for, because he was in that list. So here's what Dark Master does. Once per battle, so you choose a unit that is before the battle round begins. You choose a unit that is on the battlefield. Very important, by the way. Once per battle at the start of the enemy hero phase, you can reveal which unit you picked. Until the next hero phase, your opponent must roll dice each time that unit attempts to cast a spell, move, which would include every type of move, charge, or attack with any weapons it is armed with. On a 1 to 4, that unit can do nothing. On a 5+, it acts as normal. And so basically, you have a 66% chance of doing nothing anytime you want to do something with that unit that's not a command ability.
For 1 full battle round.
For no,
sorry, for 1 full turn.
For 1 full turn.
Yes.
Right.
Until your next hero phase, yes.
Right.
Could be longer because it's until your next hero phase. So again,
right. So like in
doubles,
where you can know when they're going to double you, this becomes really good.
Yeah, if you're under the threat of being doubled, like at the top of your turn, if you're already in combat with a unit, right?
Yep.
That's when you reveal it, because then for them to attack you that round, they've got to roll.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
On your turn, they've got to roll.
Yep.
Like, and then if they double you and you like, let's say you just retreat away, right? If they double you, then on their turn, they've got to roll again. Right.
Yeah, I mean the big no-no here, or the significant aspect to this is like the counter to this. If everybody says, well, this is the most broken ability in the world, and it is really good, don't misunderstand me. It's that you can, like, for your strategic units against Be'lakor, if you have the ability to not put them on the battlefield at the beginning, don't.
Right.
Because then they can't be targeted.
Right.
Like that's actually a viable counter. So for my Fire Slayer brethren, those are the units that get deep struck that game.
Yeah, tunnel them Hearthguard. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Those Hearthguard, they're all tunneling at the start of the game so that Be'lakor can't target them. Right. Or your Night Haunt, or your Stormcast, or your anybody that can set off table, put your most valuable things off table, and Be'lakor can't touch them.
Right. Yep.
So
that's a great point.
There's your free tip for the day.
He was another component of the worst army you've ever played against army.
Right.
Because just the frustration of, like, you lock them in place with the spell, and then they get free of that, and then you Be'lakor them, and they can't move again. Like, just the nightmare of having one of your units sit there and literally do nothing for 3 turns out of the game or something would just be crippling, if that's their main
it would
block.
be infuriating.
Yes.
And then it would be crippling.
Yeah, I mean, not only would you lose, you would lose and be ungodly frustrated. So, yay.
I mean, it does sound like a fun list. But yeah, I mean, and Be'lakor, like, on top of that, he's a double caster. He's a demon prince, so he gets all the demon prince stuff. He's ethereal, which is really curious. He has a chance of healing a little bit, but not well. I'm sad that his Ren went down to -1 instead of -2.
Sure.
Because he used to be a Ren 2 on his main weapon, which was sexy as all get out. Now 1 hurts, but that's the cost of doing business. Am I missing it? Oh, and again, he's a double caster with his spell not being too shabby.
It's okay. Yeah, again, it's fine. The Thedra Skullscryer, the Underworld's Warband caster, has the same spell.
Sure.
So, kind of an interesting thing. You can get it with her for 130 or something like that, 150. I don't remember exactly how much or 2 units.
I mean, it's a good spell. Like, functionally, it's the Hermdar bunker.
Yep.
Like, you choose something, and then that thing, So, like, it's not bad. Don't let anybody tell you it's bad. It's not.
Yep. All right. Let's talk about the host of the Ever-Chosen.
Okay.
All right. So this is Archaon's bag, right? Like, if you're playing Archaon, you're often going to look here. Although Not always, but like I would argue that he can be pretty good into spoilers as well. By the by,
Yeah.
with like because he doesn't need to be your general. He needs to be your general and host of the Everchosen to do all this stuff. But all the normal stuff on his war scroll, he doesn't really care if he's your general or not. Although it's weird to have the Lord of the Everchosen playing second fiddle.
I mean, I think it's kind of funny, honestly, but that's just me.
Okay. Oh, somebody asked, does his ability work for each cast or once for all spells? It's each cast. Each time they
you
attempt to cast a
do that
spell.
thing. Yeah.
Correct.
Yep. It's really good. It's really good.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry, I just had to fix something in the chat here.
Oh, no worries.
Okay. All right. So, great. So the let's talk about the host of the Everchosen. So, if Archeon is your general and on the battlefield, friendly hosts of the Everchosen units are affected by his Aura of Chaos within 18 inches. So again, like the spoilers, he can broadcast an 18-inch. Okay, great. Fearless in his presence. Nobody in your army takes battle shock tests. It doesn't matter. You're gonna have like not many models, so it's probably not super relevant. But that's fine. Will of the Everchosen in your hero phase. If Archeon is your general on the battlefield, you can pick one enemy unit on the battlefield. If you do so, you can reroll hit and wound rolls of 1 for attacks made with melee weapons by friendly hosts of the Everchosen units that target that unit until your next hero phase. Okay.
Yep.
Cool. That's fine.
Not bad.
It's not bad. Like again, there are different ways to get reroll hits and wounds, but of 1. Including like his Corn Aura would already automatically be passing this out. But notably, he can pick somebody anywhere. So like he can like sort of pick somebody on the opposite side of the battlefield. It's not within his aura if you've got a unit of Erangard chasing them down. So it's fine. And then, of course, Dark Prophecy. You can use this command ability at the start of your hero phase. If Archeon is your general and on the battlefield, if you do so, roll a die and keep the result hidden from your opponent. At the start of the next battle round, before players determine who has the first turn, you can reveal the result on a 1 to 3. Your opponent must take the first turn of that battle round. On a 4 through 6, you must take the first battle round of that. You can reveal it, so you don't have to take it. I played Archeon with this ability, and I will say it was very potent. It kept us from being double turned ever, which was nice. The answer to this is very simple as to how you do this. I just literally took a cup, roll a die in it, and then set the cup to the side.
Yep.
And just, there it is. It's over there. I'm not here. It's not on the table. I just set it to the side. And then I just waited until it was time to reveal it. And then I would just show it to the opponent. Like, clearly you saw me roll it and then set it to the side, and I never touched it. It's sitting in a cup. Nobody can screw with it. It was a pretty easy fix. It required, a 2-cent plastic cup to solve the problem of how to do this in a fair way. So I'm not sure it's like the biggest deal that people have been making of it, but it's cool. It's a cool ability. Notably, you also obviously you're incentivized to have Varangard in an army with Archeon, because you also get the 8 circles of the Varangard, where you can pick a circle for all of your Varangard units. I'm not going to read all 8 of them. The 2 that matter are the 6th circle, which is +1 damage when you charge, and the 8th circle, which is they can fly.
Yep.
So, okay, cool.
Yep.
That's fine. I mean, the problem with this army is it is thin, right? You are very, very thin when you push into Host of the Everchosen, because Archeon is at his point cost. I mean, he ain't cheap, son. 800 points.
No, he
does a lot.
Work, but he's not cheap.
Like, he's a hammer now. He will hit pretty hard.
Yeah, I would say that, I think that there's some lists here that I think can be semi-competitive.
No, I agree. I mean, he does a lot, right? Like, a lot. He moves far. He has a ton of wounds. He's tough as a coffin nail. His, monster head abilities are all actually good now. And he gives your units Death Frenzy through his command ability.
Right.
So, all good. He's also a 2-cast wizard. He does everything. He
Right. He
is,
does what you want him to.
yeah, he is the Lord of the Apocalypse. And his swords rend too now. Yay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
He stole Bellacor's because like Bellacord couldn't be the ever chosen, and he had to. So
yeah, I mean, so let's talk about some funny things with Archeon and the Varangard. So, in my mind, Archeon never goes out alone. Who is Archeon's constant friend, Tom? Who must Archeon have on the battlefield with him?
the chaos sorcerer or the chaos lord Gimp.
Correct. The Chaos Lord Gimp on foot. He's got to bring out the Gimp. Got to have him behind him, just following him along. Let's talk about why. The regular Chaos Lord on foot. 7 wounds, 4 up save, could take any of the marks, of course, as normal. Has his old demon bound weapon, which does some fun stuff.
Yep.
There you go, great. But most importantly, the Chaos Lord on foot has Spurred by the Gods. You can use this command ability at the start of the combat phase. If you do so, pick one friendly Mortal Slaves to Darkness unit, which, by the way, Archeon is, because he is both mortal and demon.
Yep.
Wholly within 12 of a friendly model with this command ability. After that unit has fought in that phase for the first time, when it is your turn to pick a unit to fight with later in the same phase, that unit can be selected to fight for a second time if it's within 3 inches of any enemy units. The same unit cannot benefit from this command ability more than once per turn. Fantastic, wonderful. Archeon swinging once is good. Archeon swinging twice is like real hammery.
If you're gonna pay 800 points,
Get the most out of him. Yes.
to have him swing once, pay 910. Have him swing twice.
Yeah, absolutely. I would point out this guy is real good in Corn, by the by, if you take the Corn aura, because he goes to 2 up, rerolling 1s for everything, and wounds on 2s for basically like all of his attacks. So that's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, yes. Although I will say, I think I like him better in Nurgle.
Of course you would. Because of what? The extra damage tick?
No. Because he actually gets Lookout Sir functionally.
Oh, with the neg 1 to be hit with shooting attacks?
Yeah. So, yeah, like he's forcing rerolls of 6s, natural
yes,
6s.
He is. Correct.
And he has neg 1 to hit. And so he actually moves the window that he can be shot in, like, into a really small window.
Yeah, sure. Hold on. I want to
and-
finish up something about the double
Okay.
pylon thing, which is the Slayer of Kings, because I'm going to read the Slayer of Kings text exactly because it's relevant.
Yep.
If the unmodified wound roll for 2 attacks that target the same enemy hero, no longer monsters, just heroes, but obviously hero monsters, still good, go.
Yep.
In the same phase with the Slayer of Kings is 6, that hero is slain. So if you get him piling in twice and you get 1/6 to wound on the first pile in and 1/6 to wound on the second pile in, zip,
What?
boom, you done slayed, son. Yeah, correct. As long as they're both within the same phase. So, real good there.
Yeah. Can we talk about War Shrines now?
Yeah, I want to get into all the things that can buff him, and sort of the Chaos Lord on foot was a really good one to talk about, and now I think is also a great time to talk about Chaos War Shrines, which I think are like one of the strongest things in the army. Like that is to say, as a utility piece, at 170 points for your War Shrine, it is I think, extremely worthwhile investment. So
I think it's the most economical buff piece in the army.
Agreed.
And that means a lot when you're competing with the Sorcerer Lord on foot.
Yep. Chaos War Shrine, 12 wounds, 4 up save, 170 points. Starts at an 8-inch move. Obviously, it just walks around slowly.
Yep.
Can be given any of the marks, which is relevant, even Corn.
Yep.
Because it is not a spellcaster. It is a prayer. And it has a specific... First of all, it still broadcasts its 6 up, feel no pain to everybody within 18 inches, and then that decreases as it gets wounded. So that's cool. And then it has a specific prayer it can do. All the prayers trigger on a 3 up. Basically, you can make a prayer. You pick one friendly Mortal Slaves to Darkness unit wholly within 18. So it's got a nice big... It's got a nice big range. I actually found basically no problem keeping people in range of this in the games I've played.
Can I actually highlight something that you said? Like
Sure.
that. I mean, you didn't say it exactly, but I don't want to gloss over this because this is a piece of utility that I don't want people to miss.
Okay.
When you choose the mark for the war shrine, the prayer is not determined.
Correct.
So what that means is that every war shrine can do any of the 5 prayers.
Right.
And the effect of the prayer is based on the unit it is buffing. It is not based on the war shrine.
Right. Yep.
So when you pray with the war shrine and like the buff can hit any unit, the augmented effect is based on their mark.
Yep.
And so like every unit can benefit from the favor of Khorne and get reroll charge rolls, but it's only Khorne rolls that get the added effect.
Correct.
And so actually what you're doing is you're choosing from one of 5 buffs that all have augmented effects on certain marks.
Yep.
And you're going to choose this every single turn.
And what I found was I rotated a lot with my war shrine.
Yes. That's a really, really big deal.
Yeah. And the answer is, by the way, yes, you cannot dispel a prayer. It's just a prayer. On a 3-up, it happens. Nothing anybody can do about it. All right, so let's talk through them real quick.
Yeah.
Favor of Khorne. And I'm going to divide these all into basic. They apply to any unit you target with. Yeah. And specific, they have to have the mark to get it. Okay? So here we go. Khorne, basic, reroll charge rolls. You just mentioned it. Specific, which they get both if they're specific, right?
Yep.
You can reroll hit rolls for attacks made with melee weapons until your next hero phase.
Yep.
All right. Good ability. Strong. Continuing the legacy of Khorne being decent and strong.
Yep.
Favor of Tzeentch. You can reroll save rolls. So remember the Aura of Chaos that gave a reroll 1s? Here's a better version of that that's just reroll all saves. Like both of the Oracular Visions we just mentioned. Like Chaos Warriors themselves have on their scroll automatically if you have 10 or more models.
Yep.
So, okay, who cares? Fine, good, decent, nice, whatever. Rerolling all saves is good. In addition, if that unit has the Tzeentch keyword, you get a 4-up against spells and endless spells. So now if you're in the Aura of Chaos, and let's say you're Archaon, I actually had this situation happen. I used the prayer on Archaon, and he was marked, he had chosen Tzeentch, right? So, and he himself has his own 4-up against spells and endless spells. So against spells and endless spells, he was 4-up, 4-up, 5-up.
To ignore.
Just to ignore. Completely ignore the spell or spell effect. And I managed to fail that as many times equally as I succeeded on it, which doesn't mathematically make any sense. But it happened.
Still funny.
Yeah, it's okay, is what I'll say. Again, depends largely on the meta. If Tzeentch comes roaring in and Magic is just amazing, if Magic ends up dominating in the meta, okay, the value of this goes up, undoubtedly. Same thing we said, by the way, when we did Bone Daddies and, like, Null Myriad, right, as their thing. Like, the quality of Null Myriad depends entirely on the meta. Nurgle, you can reroll wound rolls for attacks made by melee weapons. Nurgle specific, which is really good.
Good for Archaon.
Sure.
Who's fishing for 6s.
And Nurgle specific, if the unit has the Nurgle keyword, add 1 to save rolls for attack for things that attack that unit. I'm sorry, what?
So
plus 1 to
we
save.
We were talking about Archaon, and Chaos War Shrines are adding 1 to save on Archaon.
Yeah, sure. Put him on a 2-up. Absolutely.
Yeah, puts him on a 2-up. Like -1 to hit from shooting. Like suddenly he becomes a really, really, really hard piece to remove.
Yep. Absolutely. The Slowness one is Hot Garbo. You can reroll charge rolls for that unit. If they're Slowness marked, you don't take Battle Shock tests for them. Hoodly hoo. Hot garbage on a stick. And then the Favor of Chaos Undivided, which I actually quite like on anything. It's actually my favorite sort of all-around buff because I don't need the Undivided word to do the good thing. Favor of Chaos. Basic ability, you can reroll all hit and wound rolls for attacks made by that unit until your next hero phase. By the way, shooting and melee. Not that it's relevant that much, but it is true.
Watch out for those javelin horsemen.
Sure. I mean, there's not a lot of shooting attacks, but the point is just it is a thing. And then in addition, if they're undivided, you can reroll charge rolls, which, okay, neat bonus, cool. But the reroll all hit and wound. I found myself alternating between, like, kind of 3 different things, namely Zinch, Nurgle, and Chaos Undivided when I was using it. So
Sure.
there you go.
Yep. Yep. It's so good.
Oh, there you go. Hey, the Red Wizard's in the chat, and Red Wizard is who I mentioned earlier for the Save RC thing. Everybody, give him a shout out. His baby was born on Christmas morning, so there you go. That is amazing. I knew I don't want to overshare, but I know he wasn't expecting the child for a couple weeks, and then but babies do what babies do, and I guess decided to give you a bonus Christmas present. So, congratulations. Red Wizard, congratulations, Kirk. That's absolutely wonderful. Blessings, and I'm so glad to hear everyone's doing well. All the best, my friend. And like I said earlier, with that, if people in the comments, there will be a link for Save RC where you can go to Kirk and you can pick up some of his models to help him make sure that his dog also gets the treatment it needs, as his family is obviously going to be very stressed by having a new baby. So it's a wonderful thing. So their original child can be well taken care of. So very good. Okay. And if he's watching the show in real time, he won't hear me shout him out for like another hour, so that's fine. But the War Scryer, or the War Shrine, sorry, is just, it's so good, right? Like, it's an amazing piece.
And let's point out that, like, the damage all went up to 2.
Yeah, it's actually like, it can do okay against weaker units in melee. I actually was attacking stuff, and I was like, yeah, this did all right. Like, I got charged by a Huracanum or something, and somebody was trying to pin me, and I beat the crap out of that dumb thing.
Yeah, it would smash it down.
Yeah.
You know, like, if you hit this with the Undivided Prayer, reroll hits and wounds.
Yeah.
It can do some work.
Yeah, because he can target himself.
Yeah. The other half of that I don't know that we mentioned is that he gives a 6-up after save to all units.
I mentioned it to start.
Did you? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. So, like, he also is he's just free handing out an after save in a bubble around him. Like, which is good. Like, that's still good.
Yeah.
Free damage prevention. Still good.
So, the other big part of the Host of the Everchosen is the Varangard. And Varangard are one of those units that I think needs to come down just slightly. Like, it's nice to have them at 300, but I think they probably need to be like 290, 280.
Yeah.
They're very hard to get their damage out of. You get 15 wounds for like 300 points. That's just not a good wound to hit ratio. And them getting their actual, like, getting the actual work out of Varangard, I have found to be very difficult. They need to be, like, in an aura. They need to be, like, buffed by the War Shrine, right? Like, you have to push buffs onto them. Because if they don't get all the buffs, and if Archeon's not on the table, and, you know, and they're not on the charge or something, like, it's very hard to get 300 points worth of work out of them.
And not only that, like, on the numbers, similarly buffed, Chaos Knights are going to put out similar numbers.
Well, and they're not that far off. Yes, similar.
Right.
If all buffs are equal, right?
Yeah. Like, similar buffs, Chaos Knights, because you have 5 models, you know, with, like, more lances, are going to put out, on average, similar damage for 180 points. And even then, most would say that Chaos Knights are a little bit overcosted.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, Varangard are struggling for me, even with their bonus, like, effect. Like, their bonus free, whatever.
So let's talk battalions, because I want to get into a bunch of the units we haven't mentioned yet. The real, like, notice we haven't mentioned any of the core stuff of what we would traditionally think of as Chaos, like Warriors and Knights. I want to get into kind of a unit review, but I want to talk battalions first, because they're relevant. They're really relevant in this.
Quite relevant, in fact.
So there are 3, let's call it basic battalions. Is that fair to call them that?
Sure. Yeah.
The Godsworn Champions of Ruin, which is like your melee foot dude list, basically, right?
Okay.
I mean, you could have Marauder Horsemen, but for the most part, it's your foot people, right? Your chosen, your knights, your warriors, your marauders, and your Marauder Horsemen.
Like, they are what I would call core army.
Yeah, that's fine. I accept that. And then you can have
not only foot, but yes,
it's your whole army. Now, what I will say is, like, most of these can be 1-drop battalions if you so choose to build this way, but then you only have like 1 hero, which is unusual. I mean, you could build your army that way, but that would be very strange. So, but this could be like all of your army except your other heroes. That's entirely possible.
Yep.
because you also get one hero, which is one unit chosen from the following list: Chaos Lord, Bold. So any of the people who have Chaos Lord, Bold. Chaos Sorcerer Lord, Bold. Exalted Hero of Chaos, Ogroid Myrmidon, which I actually love that he shows up here, because most of the time these weirdo heroes don't actually show up in any of the battalions, but he does.
Right.
The Slaves to Darkness Demon Prince, Dark Oath War Queen, and Dark Oath Chieftain, which is cool. Like, that's a great list of a lot of your heroes that you're going to want to run, right?
Totally agree.
And in your hero phase, you can pick one hero from this battalion that is within 3 inches of an enemy unit. If you do,
there's
that
only
hero
one
can fight.
hero.
Right. Yeah, you're going to pick the one hero and they can fight. Pretty good for like the, so our example here, let's go to the Chaos Lord we haven't talked about yet. Namely, Mr. Chaos Lord on Karkadrak, who counts for this and has the Chaos Lord thing. I think this,
I know that he's drawn a lot of heat from some people, like some reviewers, or some folks who have not felt like he lives up to his points. I like that guy.
I like him too. I'm in for this dude. 250 points. This is the guy in this thing.
In the getting started box.
Yeah, it's that guy up front there. Oops, sorry. It's that dude there on the worm is who we're talking about.
New sweet model.
Yeah, 9-inch move, 9 wounds, 3 up save base. I like everything I'm seeing there. This guy's rocking 250 points. He can take any of the marks. When he charges on a 2-up, he deals D3 mortal wounds. He has a solid attack profile. It's not amazing, but it's solid. Like, he makes a good number of attacks. 2 of his attacks have rend.
He's actually like at his own personal attacks is at 5, which is a fairly high number for an attacker. For like the rider, often riders will like be at 3 or 4 with their weapons. And so like why that's significant. He's actually like 5 on one weapon, 3 on the other.
Right.
Like it really invites like a rune blade or something that's like -3 rend.
Absolutely. Yeah, like give him the phase sword or whatever out of the out of Chimone.
Phase sword or like rune blade in the other realm. Yeah. Yep. And you go to like 5 attacks at 3s and 3s, -3 rend 2 damage. Like,
that's pretty good.
Yeah.
And then all the other things we've talked about so far, because obviously he can be buffed by all that stuff, right? So, and I agree. I think that's definitely the hot pick. He's got a 5-up mortal wound protection. His little demon blade can also inflict mortal wounds, which is cool. He can self-heal, which is nice. And he can buff Chaos Knights, Chaos Chariots, and Gorby's Chariots. Basically, he has the same command ability as the old Chaos Lord on Demonic Mount, which is still around, by the way. They're both basically, he's just the big brother version of the Chaos Lord on Demonic Mount.
Yep. And he's getting all 4 profiles. Like when you look at it, he's having to choose weapons. Like oftentimes when you look at like the Chaos Lord on Manticore, like you're losing some of those weapon profiles. Here, you gain both of these weapon profiles and the 5-up like mortal wound save.
Correct. Yep.
Where like normally you have to give up one of your weapon profiles for a shield to do that.
Right. And he can give knights and all that other stuff +1 to hit and reroll charges, which is cool. It's a good way to make knights stronger, right? So
and he's on a 3-up, and he's not a monster, which means that he's not on a large base either.
No.
Like he's on a 90 mil oval, so he easily fits in terrain for that 2-up. And and because he's not a monster, he can easily get Lookout Sir.
Yep. He has Eye of the Gods, which is cool. So if he gets in there, like I think this dude in Godsworn Champion is like a super hot pick, because getting him fighting more in the hero phase, having another regular Chaos Lord on foot behind him, making him fight twice, like it's solid. This dude will do some heavy work for you, especially if given like a -3 rend weapon, right?
Yep.
So I dig that one. The Godsworn Champions of Ruin points wise, I don't remember all the battalions off the top of my head. I have to go look at it real quick.
Right?
That sounds right.
Or no, they're 180. They're
180.
all interchangeable. Yeah, they're all like them, and the Nurgle battalion they're all interchangeable.
Yep.
Sorry.
Yes, he's on the 92 mil base. Yeah.
Yep.
He's on like the Fulminator, base, whatever.
Yep.
Okay. God's Wrath. This is again same setup in that it's one hero, 4 to 8 units from all the core chaos stuff, but this one actually can include a Chaos War Shrine, which I do enjoy.
Not just one Chaos War Shrine.
It has to have 1 or more. That's right, which I like.
More.
2 of them is good.
Like 2. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. The unit of heroes on this one is a little different though. It's Chaos Lord on Manticore, Chaos Sork Lord on Manticore, Chaos Lord on Demonic Mount, Chaos Lord on Karkadrak, Chaos Lord on foot, or Chaos Sorcerer Lord. So none of the other fun weirdo heroes.
Yep.
And then its ability here is in your hero phase, you can pick one Chaos War Shrine from this battalion and roll a die for each enemy unit within 24 inches of that War Shrine and visible to it. For each 6, that unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. Like, not a bad ability that you're just getting for free on a huge swath of the battlefield, right? Like, imagine every hero and every chaff unit that's in there, and you just have a chance to ding them for a D3 mortals. And to me, it doesn't actually matter. God's Wrath is just doing a lot of the stuff that I like. Right, like it's letting me get my War Shrine in there, which would have been a drop. It's letting me get my Chaos Lord on Karkadrak in there. Most of the units I like. So yeah, I think this is another decent pick. Right.
Yep, I would agree with that. Like if I'm wanting to run a similar like generalist battalion that is not wanting to focus on a combat hero, then this is what I do.
Yeah, agreed. And then finally the Ruinbringer Warband. 1 unit from the following list, which is the Chaos Lord on Demonic Mount or Chaos Lord on Karkadrak. And then 4 to 8 units of all the mounted stuff. Knights, Chariots, Gorby's Chariots, or Chaos Marauder Horsemen. And each time a unit from this battalion finishes a charge move, you can pick one enemy unit within 1 inch of that unit. If you do so, roll a die on a 2+, they suffer D3 mortals. Interestingly about that, if you do pick the Chaos Lord on Karkadrak, he'll trigger that twice when he charges.
Yep.
Right? Because he already has that built in. So, that's cool.
That's not the interesting thing about this. The interesting thing about this is in this battalion, every chariot that you have will do 5 mortal wounds on average on a charge.
Sure, because they're already the basic chaos chariot already ogre charges basically.
No, it's not just ogre charging, and I want to talk about this.
Okay,
the basic chaos chariot.
Let's talk basic chaos chariot. Okay, so hold on, back it up.
Yep.
Basic chaos chariot. I think they are interesting. They are 120 points.
Yep.
For 1, they can be in units up to 3. And they are battle line in your army, right?
Yes.
So these are important things to note.
Yep.
So let's drop some base stats. Hold on, I've got to flip over to this stupid chariot.
Yep.
There he is.
That matters, but you can go ahead and do that.
12-inch move, 7 wounds, 4 up save.
Yep.
And most notably, he has an ability called Swift Death, which I think is what you're referencing.
Well, hold on. Yes. But also, Spare the Lash it's a run and charge.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's not a lot of run and charge in this army,
right?
But it is a run and charge.
Yep.
And then Swift Death, so he can get an 18-inch move, plus a charge, and like auto running 6. But more importantly, Swift Death, it's kind of the ogre charge in that you roll a dice. Pick an enemy unit within 1 inch of pick one enemy unit within 1 inch of this unit and roll a number of dice equal to the charge roll for that charge move.
Yep.
Not
it's not unmodified.
Unmodified.
Yep. So if you're bonusing it with cogs or being in, Slowness, Godseekers, whatever. Sure.
Or Bloodstoker.
Sure. Or a Bloodstoker is giving you +3 to charge.
Right. Adds 5 dice to this roll.
Yep. Sure.
But just generic on an average of a 7 charge plus the D3 wounds from the other battalion, you're going to average 5 mortals coming in without buffing it. You're averaging 5 mortals.
Right, because his is for every 5+ that enemy suffers a mortal wound, right? So normally ogres are either on a 6 if they're not a monster or don't have at least 8 models, and they're 4 up if you have 8 models or you're a monster. This guy's right in the middle. He's just always a 5+, right? Yep. So yeah, like giving him Bloodstoker, Cogs, Godseekers, and Slanesh, anything that buffs his charge number.
Right.
Right. Just makes this guy come crashing in with a lot of potential mortal wounds. And then if he's in that thing on a 2-up, he does another D3.
Another D3. And so it just actually adds a bunch of very interesting options. And really leaves the Gore Beast behind.
Yeah, I agree. The Gore Beast Chariot's the big loser here. I literally have no idea why you would use the Gore Beast Chariot.
I know. Because Swift Death is just so much better.
It's so much better than what they're doing, yeah.
Yeah, and so, you could fit, 8 chariots in that battalion.
Sure.
And
more if you put them in units, but I don't know why you would.
No, but you don't get more mortals on the charge.
Correct. You want individual chariots, yes.
Yes. Yeah, and so, you could, dish out on average, 40 mortals of charging wounds every turn.
Pretty decent. It's just like it's a crazy. It does exactly what it says on the tin. Like it brings ruin. It's this insane charging thing, right? Somebody
Uh,
asked flail or greatsword on the chariot.
I mean, I know what I would do.
It's great blade every time for me, but
Yeah, it's never flail
it's never flail because
on anything because you never want D6 attacks. That's always the wrong answer.
correct. I would also point out that your one chariot can automatically be the exalted charioteer because there's no limit. It doesn't say like you have to have a unit of 3 to get a champion or whatever.
Right.
And so like the exalted charioteer gets +1 to hit. So his great blade hits on 2s, right?
Yeah. 2s and 3s, neg 1 rend, 2 damage.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, so always sword. And yeah, the chariot thing's fun. So I like actually all 3 of their basic battalions. I think they all have potential for interesting lists.
Yep.
I mean, knights. One of the big problems with knights is they have to break the enemy when they charge. Making them slam in for an extra D3 mortal wounds is just more damage. You know what I mean? Like it helps. So.
Yep. It can help them get there.
Mm-hmm. Then there is one for every god plus the overlords.
Yep.
We don't need to like beat by beat all of these. What I will say is they've brought back, they're the old version. So Bloodmarked is 1 mortal slaves to darkness Khorne hero.
Yep.
And 8 mortal slaves to darkness Khorne units.
Which parens units can also be heroes.
Correct. Exactly. So again, these can very easily 1-drop your army because you could have like 4 actual traditional units and 5 heroes and jobs are good. Right. Notably about these battalions, which is actually really cool, is every one of these battalions. So Bloodmarked for Khorne, Fate Sworn for Tzeentch, Plague Touched for Nurgle, and Pleasure Bound for Slaanesh.
Yep.
All of them are part of the Khorne faction and the Slaves to Darkness faction for Bloodmarked. Or, the Pleasure Bound is part of the Slaanesh and Slaves to Darkness, right? So they each count as both a Slaves to Darkness battalion or their own gods army battalion.
Yep.
Which is cool. So if you want to run like Heed Knights with Slaanesh allegiance, but use this battalion, you can, and you can bring all the mortals in and go nuts. Right.
And let me just say, like, I'm a longtime fan of Plague Touched. Like it was my jam. And I'm glad to see it playable. And not only playable, I would argue it's probably the best of the battalion options.
Plague Touched? Yeah, Plague Touch is absolutely the best one. Yes.
Yeah, which basically what happens with Plague Touched is if you attack a unit from Plague Touched, and when you're attacking, if you end up rolling a 6 to wound, it kicks back a mortal.
Right.
On you. Which is not as good as the 6 to hit. But guess what? It's still going to kick back mortals. And interestingly, Plague Touch used to only like be this if you deployed units in multiples of 7. Which ended up being this like really weird incentive structure where you'd have like a block of 28 Chaos Warriors or 14 Chaos Warriors in order to gain like this effect on that unit. And now it's just all units in the warband, including your chaff, including everything else.
Right.
And so it's just so much and you always choose a unit in your hero phase, one of your units in the battalion, roll a D3 or roll a D6 on a 2+. It's going to spit a D3 mortals onto a nearby unit.
Yeah,
So,
I would also argue the Bloodmarked is a good one as well, because like if a hero from this battalion slays any enemy models in the combat phase, you can pick one unit from the same battalion wholly within 12 of that hero and add 1 to their attacks characteristic until your next hero phase. Like, that's just a good ability. You're often going to have melee heroes who are fighting. There's often going to be other units near them. Just adding plus, and like, the nature of combat is that you're going to activate one and then other people are going to go later, right? So just buffing them with +1 attack is pretty good.
It is a case for Khorne Chaos Knights.
Yeah, sure.
Because like Khorne Chaos Knights obviously are going to like double benefit from getting their like bonus attacks on the horses. And so like going in with like a Lord on Karkadrak and then like following up with a unit of Chaos Knights, like that's super punchy.
It is super punchy. It's a great combo. They obviously bonus each other. It's pretty easy to keep those knights within a reasonable range of the Lord on Karkadrak, right? similar moves and all that sort of thing. So like and again, every time you're pushing those Chaos Knights up, then they're in his aura, they're getting all of that. Suddenly they're hitting on a lower number, they're like hitting on twos, rerolling ones, wounding on twos, like it's with a bunch of attacks. That actually makes them into a pretty potent melee threat. The Slowness and the Tzeentch are pretty much garbage. They're useful enough because they're a battalion, right? So like they can be one drops. The Fate Sworn especially because it's a 10 unit battalion, right?
Ugh. Like,
so like you
Nurgle
can
is
definitely
bad.
one drop with Fate Sworn.
Yes, Nurgle, it's painful at 8 units because you want to fit in the Demon Princes for despoilers. And so you're like really feeling it with Nurgle. I can't even imagine trying to fit that many units into Fate Sworn.
Yeah. And I want to put a pin on what Doom and Darkness is saying because I agree with his point he's making in the comments that the Khorne Battalion works well in Blades of Khorne itself, which obviously, as I stated, it can be taken in the Khorne Allegiance, so you're good to go there. Where you're stacking the +2 attack with like Bloodstokers, Wrathmongers, Aspiring Deathbringers, whatever.
Yep.
And no, I like Bloodstokers are still good because it's getting you in. It's charging harder, and then your Bloodsecrator for +1 attack. Like you can be shooting up attacks, right? Wrathmonger +1, Aspiring Deathbringer +1, Bloodsecrator +1, this thing +1. Like you can have a unit up at +4 attacks in Khorne.
Yep.
Right? Like that's bonkers level. And so there you go. Finally, we should mention the Overlords of Chaos. 3 to 6 Host of the Ever-Chosen Varangard units.
Pass.
This is the most mind-numbing thing, right?
Pass.
So let's talk about what this would look like, Tom. Varangard are battle line in your host of the Ever-Chosen Battalion.
Yep.
Right? If all the units are host of the Ever-Chosen. So, okay, cool.
Yep.
So 3 of them are 300 points.
Yep.
So Archaon is 800 points.
Yep.
3 units of these are 900 points. That puts you to 1,700.
Yep.
Okay. And the Overlords of Chaos is 120. So now you're at 1820, and you have 10 models on the table. Right?
Yep. Sounds like an army.
You have fulfilled all requirements of both the battalion and the normal army building, as you have 3 battle line and 1 leader.
Yeah.
You basically get to select an additional circle for all of your Varangard units. So they can have +1 damage on the charge and fly, or whatever.
Yeah, no.
Okay. Cool beans. Like, I guess the army is all of that and a war shrine, probably, right? Is the army you'd build and you have 10 points left over?
Yeah. I mean, here's the deal.
Your 3 drop. So you got that going for you with your 11 models.
Yeah, and what I would actually probably do is like a sorcerer on foot, and like a 70, like a 10 pack of
Sure.
of
something, of one of them.
Of objective holders. But you're not going to do that because, like, realistically, like, it's just not good. You're going to run, like, if you run Archaon, just as a full disclosure, if you're going to run Archaon, you're going to run 1 pack of Varangard probably, and then a bunch of support pieces and objective holders.
Sure.
Like, that's your army if you run Archaon. You're not running this battalion. You're not.
Yeah, but it's whatever. It's if you're all in on that idea, right? If that army has, and by the way, that army has style points galore. Okay, like it is the coolest of the cool. It's probably not competitive, but it is sweet as all get out. Like, make no mistake, it is sweet.
It is not competitive,
but it's cool.
But it is. I mean, it is thematic.
Yes. All right, let's talk about some other War Scrolls we haven't talked about yet, Tom. We can finish this out. Let's grind through some other War Scrolls.
Yep.
I feel that we have to talk about Chaos Knights and Chaos Warriors, right? We've kind of talked about Knights some. Let's just continue that on and talk about Knights first.
Knights.
All right, so 10-inch move, 3 wounds, 4 up save. Same as they always were. Second verse, same as the first. Can be marked to anything.
Yep.
Great.
Yep.
They get +1 bravery from their standard.
Yep.
Right. They can add 1 to run and charge from their hornblower. Cool. Built-in bonus to charge. Always good.
Yep.
And their Doom Knight gets an extra attack. Okay, great.
Yep.
They can have
no longer +1 to hit.
Correct. They either have ensorcelled weapons and rune shields, or cursed lance and rune shields. And in addition, the boss, by the way, can have a cursed flail and a rune shield. So whatever.
Which you're never gonna have.
Which you're never gonna have because
Stop it.
it's a bad weapon. You're just gonna
Stop
give
it.
him the same thing as everything else.
Yep.
Whatever. All right. So knights. Ensorcelled weapons are 3 attacks at 3s and 3s, neg 1, 1 damage. The cursed lance is 2 attacks at 4s and 3s, no rend, 1 damage. But of course, importantly, if you charge, then you get to improve the damage and the rend by 1. Or sorry. Let me repeat that. You get to increase the damage by 1 and the rend by 2. There you go.
Yeah.
If you charge. So they become 4, 3, neg 2, 2 damage on the charge.
Yeah.
And how good that is largely based on what you're doing, right? Like, if they only have 2 attacks with the lance base. But if you're in a world like the blood-marked warband we just mentioned, or you have an allied blood secrator in your army, right? Or whatever. Whatever the sort of thing is, if you're pushing that number way up, if that's on like 4 and 5 attacks and you're really all about charging, like if you're in that Ruinbringer warband or something, you know, where you're charging, dealing mortals, making like 4 or 5 attacks with their lances, rerolling a lot of hit and wound rolls where you don't care that they're on 4s if you're pushing that number down in ways.
If you have a lord to give +1 to hit and you're getting rerolls,
Yep, exactly. Then all of a sudden those lances can become absolute monsters.
My lances are my choice. If I'm running knights, I'm running lances.
If you've built to that. What I would say is it depends on what you want to use your knights as, because I think there's actually knights need to come down 10 or 20 points. They're 180 points right now.
Sure.
I think they should be 170, 160, something like that.
Okay.
When you look at like what Mighty Skull Crushers are doing or whatever, you know, or pigs or you know, all those kind of things. That have the same wounds count and are in the same sort of area. And in similar melee focused armies, by the way, right? In general, I don't like comparing army to army, but you know, it is a useful sort of watermark.
Metric, especially when they are so similar. When
they're so similar wounds, in a similar role, in a similar army that's fighting in a largely synergistic melee profile, right?
Yep.
The thing that's interesting to me about Chaos Knights is if I was going the synergistic build, if I wanted them to be like my hammer, then I agree with you. You buff the attacks and you pick the lances and you try to break them on the charge, right?
Yep.
Because off the charge, you're going to do nothing. Your damage will fall like a rock off the charge, right?
Yep.
Now, if I wanted Knights to be operating more independently and be more like, and fill more of an anvil-y role, right? Where they're out there to be kind of a heavy chaff anvil, which, by the way, I think is a valid role for them, right?
Yep.
Like, you can have some guy following them around, giving them reroll saves, and they're kind of, they'll go out there and they'll do work. I think the weapons are the better choice there. Because you want them to operate fairly independently, right?
Yeah.
And having built-in rend, they'll be more consistent over the turns. They're not trying to, like, charge in and break something. They're trying to move up and be in the way and last. And you want them to attrition out their enemy, right?
Yep.
So that will be more consistent damage over turns.
Yep.
So there you go. Oh, well, we're happy to help, Might Makes, right? And hey, that working on Christmas is never fun, but I'm happy we can entertain. So I think Knights can be really good, but you've got to build toward them. By the way, I'm building toward Knights, baby. I got Knights in these 2 boxes. I'm building toward Knights. I'm buying for the future. This is my discussion, Tom. I think right now Warriors and Knights aren't good, but I think in 6 months, I think they're going to see slight points adjustment down. That's my prediction.
Yeah.
Okay, in the GHB. Slight, but it'll be there. And I'm ready to go. I'm ready to capitalize.
Sure. Like, let me say this. I am uninterested in Marauders.
Agreed.
Even though they're the right, like, buy right now.
Yep.
I want, like, if I'm running this army, it's going to be on the backs of Chaos Warriors and Chaos Knights.
Yep, agreed. I'm going real steel, baby. I want those armored masses of, the true face of chaos, which to me are the
Sure.
knights and the warriors, right?
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Give me
Yep.
that lord on Karkadrak, a lord on demonic mount. Give me that chaos lord on foot. That's why I'm working on this guy and converting him up. He was one of the first things I did because I'm super excited about. I love this guy, and I use the Corvus Call model, which I think is just like a
Yep.
great base model for a chaos lord. And like that's the army I want to play. Is it the most
Yep.
competitively optimal? Hell no.
No.
But like I've got Slowness for competitive armies now. I'm good. It's fine. It's been weakened and it's competitive enough. I've got Iron Jaws for competitive armies. I'm good.
No, I would agree with that. I think that I like knights, and like in my plague touch warbands, like I keep trying to make knights work. Like I'm not willing to give up on them, even now at their point cost.
I really think
they're not optimal, but I haven't given up on them yet.
Yeah, I think they're really optimal in Corn. I really do. Like that's where
No,
they.
I would agree with that. I think that they are better in Corn. Period.
Yep. All right. Chaos War. Oh, we said the point cost for night. Yeah, they're 180 for
180. Yeah.
So, okay. Chaos Warriors. 100 points for 5 of them.
Yep.
Which is 10 wounds, obviously. 5-inch move, 2 wounds, 4 up save. Pretty standard. They still have the same weapon options they always had. So the Chaos hand weapon, 2 attacks, 3s, which is nice. That got better. No rend, 1 damage. The halberd at 2-inch range on 3s and 4s for 1 damage. Or the big old greatsword for 4s, 3s, neg 1, 1 damage. Notably, they can have the shield in both the hand weapon and the halberd. You can also choose to give them 2 hand weapons. So they have 4 different potential profiles, only one of which has rend. And these guys are expensive, right? Like a block of 20 of these is 40 wounds, but it's 400 points. Laughably comparable to the Hearthguard Berserkers. Same.
I mean, I know you say that. I don't agree, but I understand what you're saying.
Sure.
Like they are head and shoulders when stacked with Nurgle. They're one of the most defensive units in the game.
Agreed. They're like in Nurgle. These guys are the super anvil, right?
Right.
100% agreed. They can be given all the marks. They have the same sort of leadership thing. So +1 to run and charge, which is what matters. They have if they have the shield, they're a 5-up mortal wound save, which I think is good.
Yep.
They always reroll all saves as long as they've got at least 10 models.
Yep.
Which is amazing. And if you do give them the pair of hand weapons, which is wrong, you can reroll all hit rolls. That is incorrect. Yep. There are better ways to get reroll hit rolls. Keep the 5-up save and go from there. Notably, the reroll all save rolls isn't contingent at all on having the shields, which is kind of cool.
Yep.
So you can have like dudes with greatswords who are still rerolling all their saves. They just lose their mortal wound protection.
Like I'm a fan of Nurgle Chaos Warriors in blocks of 15.
Like 15 or 20, because then they can get the +1 save out of the War Shrine. As Doom just pointed out, if they're in Corn, they could get Bronze Flesh, go to a 3-up. So yeah.
Yeah, like I really like them in Nurgle.
Sure.
Like a lot.
Yep. They become very hard.
Yeah.
They can have, if they're near the general, they can be neg 1 to be hit and shooting. You could ally in other Nurgle dudes if you wanted like the 5-up after save, right? For the, what's that guy's name? The Harbinger or whatever.
The Harbinger of Decay.
Yeah, you can easily put these guys on a 3-up rerollable all the time. If they're near the Harbinger, they'll be 3-up all the time, 5-up. That's pretty awesome. 6-up with the War Shrine around, right? If it's against a mortal wound thing, they go, and the War Shrine's around, they're 5, and the Harbinger's around is 5-up, 5-up, 6-up. Quite strong.
Somebody had said that the units can be mixed weapon.
They cannot. Like a lot of that's just how they word it now. A unit of Chaos Warriors has any number of models, each armed with one of the following weapon options. They've traditionally interpreted that as
the models, or each armed the unit.
Right. They've traditionally interpreted Marauders, by the way, have the same wording, as do Chaos Knights and everything else. They've traditionally interpreted that each unit to say they all have to be picked the same. I mean, it's one of those things that could be clarified in the FAQ. Similar wording in the past has said that no, in fact, they have to all be armed the same.
Yep.
And that seems to be what's implied here as well. And let me be honest with you, just please God make them one profile. Okay?
Yes.
I know you all think you want them to have a mixed profile. That's terrible. That's a nightmare situation. Do you want to have slow games? Because this is how you get slow games. Because then you got to go in and look and figure out, okay, well, let's see. I got 3 great sword guys attacking. I've got 2 halberd guys. I've got 1 2-weapon guy. And then I've got my 2 guys with a shield. One of them's engaged. So let me roll these 3 attacks over here on this profile. And then these 2. This is where slowness in games happens. Period.
Sure.
It's not
I
in
don't agree.
movement.
I don't agree with
It's
that.
in crap like this.
Yep.
Okay? Like, it is a nightmare for fighting. You get, God forbid, multiple units get piling into things. It's like, oh, great. Well, let's just sit around and spend the next 2 hours resolving this one fight. Because you have 20 Chaos Warriors with 4 different mixed weapon profiles fighting 3 different units. Won't this be a joy?
Mhm.
No, it will be the worst. The worst. Okay? So, like, I know we all think we want that. We don't. It's bad. When they moved Ardboys onto one unified profile, they did that because it was super annoying to be rolling all those individual things. And you know what? Everybody was happy. It was a better world. Okay?
Right.
There you go. All right. So yeah, I mean, I think Chaos Warriors are probably pointed correctly, honestly, at 5 for 100.
Yeah, I hate that, but it's probably true.
Yeah, with all the synergies and bonuses they can get. If they were Ardboy costed, which is their nearest analog we could make, right? You know, Ardboys are 5 for 90. Ardboys have built-in rend. Same number of attacks, same attack profile, but built-in rend, right?
Yeah.
And easy access to +1 to damage. The difference here is these guys are naturally tougher. Ardboys are still more offensive. These guys are more defensive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Because they have the built-in easy access to reroll to saves, the easy bonus to mortal wound protection. Like, these are not your hammer.
No.
Like, we all want to go, like, we all imagine in our mind that Chaos Warriors march forth and just chop everything to death. But they're not. Like, they're just not. As written, they are your anvil. And that is their uni-roll. Right? There you go. And I think they're a darn good anvil, by the by. Right? And yes, compared to Liberators, I think they are quite, they compare quite positively. So,
yeah.
There you go. Let's see. There's we should talk about a few other of the War Scrolls. Let me talk, Tom. I want to sell you on this. Here you go, Tom. You ready for what I say the hammer is?
Yep.
Besides super buffed Chaos Knights, which we just mentioned.
Chaos Marauder Horseman.
No, it's definitely not that. Tom, I want to talk to you about the beauty of Chaos Chosen. Okay? Here we go. You can't see his face, but his face is upset. Let's talk about Chosen. I was not hot on Chosen at the beginning. I've come around. Let's talk about Chosen. Chosen. He had 5 for 140. 10 wounds for 140 points. Not great, but not terrible. They are 2 wound models each. They're Garbo models. You should just convert them out of Chaos Warriors now, but whatever. The original Chosen are not good models, but they're easy enough to convert, so there you go. They're armed with Soul Splitters. 6-inch move, 2 wounds, 4 up save. They have the +1 run and charge and all that stuff. They can be given any mark. They have an ability called Slaughter Leaders, which I really don't care about too much, but it works like this. If a model from this unit makes an attack that slays 1 or more enemy models, after all of this unit's attacks have been resolved, you can reroll wound rolls for attacks made by friendly mortal slaves and darkness units wholly within 12 of any friendly unit with this ability until your next hero phase. Cool. So if they kill something, they push out a bubble of rerolling wounds. Not bad, but I see it as like sprinkles on my ice cream. It's not really doing anything, right? But it's kind of fun that it's there.
Okay.
Soul Splitter. If the unmodified hit roll for an attack made with a Soul Splitter is 6, that attack inflicts 1 mortal wound on the target in addition to any normal damage. Okay. Why I like Chosen is because they can actually get and absorb all the bonuses we just talked about.
Yeah.
And they can get to making a outrageous number of attacks, right? At decent hit, wound, rend damage. And they can actually punch really hard for a relatively low points cost by the standard of this army. They're a relatively, like, they can absorb a lot of buffs and on a decently small footprint, put out a lot of punch. They don't require as much synergy as the knights to pop off, but yet they can actually do some decent work. I think they're underrated. I actually like them. I think they can do some good work.
What size base are they on? 40s or 30s?
I think they're on 40s. Yeah, I'd need to look up the base chart to be honest, but I'm pretty sure they're on 40s. That sounds right. Let's just go with that for now. And honestly, if you were gonna say like, well, Vince, the regular chosen models are garbage, how would you make some? The answer
I
is,
already know how I would make some.
how would you do it, Tom?
I would use Wrathmongers.
Yep, that's exactly correct.
Or probably what's the other Wrathmonger? Not Wrath.
Skull Reapers or Wrathmongers. You use those bodies.
I would use Soul Reavers, and I would
Skull Reapers.
I would mix with Plague King bits.
Sure.
Like future Blight Kings. I would mix with their bits. Like I say that I have 10 of those bits.
No, chosen are on 32 mil bases. I'm sorry. There you go. I went and looked up the basing chart. I'm sure somebody was already answering that while I was looking. Yep, Doom and Darkness was already answering. But yeah, they're on 32s. Even better. Nah? Yeah. Am I swinging you around with them being on 32s?
I mean, if they were 3 wounds a model.
You say that, but I think that's too much. They don't need 3 wounds a model. You know the one thing they do need? 2-inch reach.
Yeah.
They got that big, long weapon. If they were 2-inch reach, normally I don't care. But if these guys were 2-inch reach, so I could like have them swing over the top of other people fighting over a warrior anvil block.
Yeah.
Then I would be really on about them, right? As it is now, I'm giving them like a 6 or 7 out of 10. I think they're good. I think they have potential. That's what I'll say. This army is starved for hammers, and they're a pretty decent hammer. That's my answer.
I mean, they have a low mobility.
They're 6 inches. They're not terrible on foot.
6 is not.
They're not dwarves.
And they're almost dwarves.
They're as far away from dwarves as they are from like the entire ogre army when it's hungry.
They are not dwarves, but they don't have run and charge. Yeah, I'm not sold on them. Like, are you running them in 10 packs? Is that what you're imagining?
I think 5 or 10, yeah. I need to play around to see which one I liked better, but 5 or 10. Small-ish footprint, high potential output damage. That's my answer.
Yeah, I'm just not sold.
Okay. Well, that's okay. You could not be sold. I'm going to try them out. I have some Tzeentch chosen converted, so there you go.
Yeah, like, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I think that there's probably potential there. I know that other people have been real hot on them. But I just don't know how they get delivered.
Well, you either teleport and roll an 8, or you just move across the battlefield, because who gives a... What do you mean how they get delivered? Like, things that move 6 will get there. They just don't get there round 1. Not everything needs to get there round 1. Like, the 6-inch move will get you into the fight. It's a 5-round game. You'll be where you want to be attacking stuff in round 2.
Yeah. And then, like, it's fairly fragile.
Like, you say that like we're playing on boards that are 80 feet across. It's just not that far, man.
Yeah.
Let's talk about a couple other fun units.
I'll say this. They compare favorably to hammerers.
Sure. All right.
But they do have the elite model problem, having less models.
Sure, I get it. And yes, 6 inches is elf movement. Yeah, that's right. Okay. I want to talk about some other fun scrolls here, Tom, shall we?
Yep.
Let's talk, by the way, What do we have to do, GW, to get these other 3 models that are in this tome released? The Ogroid, the Fomoroid, and the Mind Stealer's Phalanx.
It's
Like,
silly.
can we please get those out? Where are they? Just, is that coming soon? Like, anytime now, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about the Ogroid Myrmidon. Uh, because I think I think all 3 of them are interesting-ish. Is that a fair way to say it? Interesting-ish.
I mean, what I'll say is this: like, all of these are second-class citizens in this army because they actually don't gain, like, they're basically allies in the allegiance because they don't gain any of the aura abilities.
Well, that's true. They don't gain any of the aura abilities. However, they can, like, the Ogroid can still be buffed by the War Shrine because he is a Mortal Slaves to Darkness unit.
Sure.
And he is still a hero, and he has the Eye of the Gods, right? So he can actually go make himself better by killing heroes. Okay.
Okay.
Or monsters or whatever. I'm just saying, it's a thing.
Yeah.
He's 140 points. He's a 6-inch move dude with 8 wounds on a 4-up save. He's got a ranged attack that's like, whatever. It's fine. He can throw his spear, 3-up, 3-up, neg 1, D3. Who cares? And then in melee, he has a 2-inch reach, 6 attacks, 3 threes, neg 1, 1 damage, and he has big old horns. But he has 1 attack with 3-3, neg 2 rend, 3 damage. Okay, cool. If his unmodified hit roll is a 6, it inflicts 2 hits. So he has the Slowness Aura of Chaos built in.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Which is good, by the by. And his Berserk Rage, you can reroll hit and wound rolls for attacks made with melee weapons by this model if any wounds or mortal wounds were allocated to this model earlier in the same phase. So he kind of wants to fight second against stuff that isn't going to kill him. I actually think he gets rather good if that turns on. It's almost like an enlightened type thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you just want to make sure he's not fighting a hammer that's going to smack him down in 1 round. But I like that incentive where he isn't vying to be your first pick, right? Oftentimes heroes and your hammer units want to go first. He kind of is okay with sitting around and then striking back. And like I said, he can be War Shrine buffed, right?
Yeah.
So, like, okay, that's cool. You know, seems fine. And he's a hero, so cool. I dig him. Shall we talk about my favorite non-marked thing? The kitty cat.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that kitty cat. Oh boy, howdy, do I love me a kitty cat. Mind Stealer Spharanx. Oh, where have you been all my life, you adorable cat llama? You are my jam. I love this model. I want this model. I want to be painting this model. The fact that I'm not painting this model right now hurts. Release this model. Okay, 100 points. 10-inch move, 10 wounds, 5-up save. First of all, I love the wound to point ratio on this guy.
This is how monsters should be pointed.
Agreed. Chaos Mortal, Monster, Slaves to Darkness, Mind Stealers, Franks. Great. So he is a mortal still. So, okay. He can, like, take buffs. I don't know why you would care. Most of them don't really apply. His melee attacks are all completely uninteresting and not of note. That's not why you took him. Why you took him is, well, one, he has this weak ability called Telepathic Dread, where anybody within 12 inches, any enemies within 12 inches of him are -2 bravery. That's not terrible. Like, for the occasional battle shock, fair enough. But most importantly, he has an ability called Dominate Mind. In your hero phase, you can pick one enemy unit within 12 inches of this model and visible to it. If you do so, both you and your opponent must secretly place a die so that it shows any number, and then reveal them. If the numbers shown on the die are the same, this ability has no effect. If the numbers shown on the die are different, the enemy unit you picked fights at the end of the combat phase until the next battle round. You cannot pick the same unit as the target for this ability more than once in the same turn, whether this ability has an effect or not. Super cool. It's multiple things to note. Fights at the end of the turn until a combat phase, sorry, until the next battle round. So if you're going at the bottom of the turn, it's only your turn, right? If you're going at the top of the turn or the top of the battle round, you'll get it for both players' phases or for both players' turns.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Um, I love this always strikes last ability. I love a mini game. I love a dice based mini game. It's highly likely to be successful. Obviously because it's not super
I'm
likely
roll.
you both pick the same number. What's that?
I'm rolling that dice every time.
You can roll whatever you want. I'm picking mine because I'm going to play the fun mini game. Don't be a party pooper, Tom. I'm all about this guy. I love this dude, man. He's great. What a sweet monster. Um, yeah, this dude's awesome. I love him. 100 points. He finds his way into a lot of my lists I built. Right? He needs to be released so I can actually use him. But he's cool. Beautiful model. Freaking gorgeous. So there you go.
Sure.
And then the Foamoroid is just a big melee dude, and I don't think he's very good at all. So there you go. It's fine. I would take the Sphinx every time.
Yep.
Okay, we talked. I don't think we need to go into the cultists anymore. Furies are good because they're flying skinks. We've talked about it before, but they're expensive.
Yep.
The Soul Grinder is still bad because he's
marked now.
What's that?
It's really sad. They can't not.
It can't be marked. Yeah.
They used to be able to be marked. They cannot be marked now.
Yeah, it's kind of dumb. The Slaughter Brute can only be marked Corn. The Vortex Beast can only be marked Zinch. By the way, that's not required. You can non-mark them if you want.
Sure.
But whatever. The Soul Grinder is still bad because he's on 160 mil round. Like, that's the issue.
Sure. Sure.
His rules are fine. If he was on like a chariot base, he'd actually be somewhat interesting, right? But he's not. He's on a giant pie plate and he doesn't fly and he's like impossible to move around. So, nope. Want to end here, Tom, talking about the endless spells? Shall we close out on them?
Sure.
So we have 3 endless spells. The Eightfold Doom Sigil, the Dark Fire Demon Rift, and the Realm Scourge Rupture. In order of points, the Eightfold Doom Sigil is 40, the Demon Rift is 50, and the Rupture is 60. So,
yeah. The Doom Sigil is what makes it into my list, and it's one of the most like dumbly worded abilities.
It is very hard to read. So the Doom Sigil is this one. I'll hold up it. There you go. It's this thing. I'm holding it up so people can see it on camera since it's assembled and sitting right next to me.
Yep.
Okay.
It should say +1 attacks.
Right, but of course it has to be couched and all this nonsense. It couldn't just be a thing you throw out there that just gives +1 attacks, of course. Why not? Why not make it way more complicated?
It should just be +1. It should be predatory and +1 attacks for units wholly within 18.
Yeah, sure. So, but here's how it actually works. 40 points. Casting value of 5, which I like. Nice and low. Obviously, Slaves to Darkness Wizards can do it, and it has to be set up wholly within 12. It's on a relatively small base, so no big deal.
Yep.
All right. So you throw this thing out there. Keep track of the number of models that are slain within 12 inches of this model each turn.
Okay, so check 1, bookkeeping.
Yep, exactly. It requires bookkeeping. At the end of each turn, roll a dice for each model that was slain within 12 inches of this model during that turn. So it's working a lot like the Chalice, right? If people are familiar with the FEC Chalice. For each 3+, the player whose turn is taking place, in other words, your opponent will pick what I'm about to say if it's their turn, and this gets triggered. Must pick 1 Slaves to Darkness unit wholly within 18 inches of this model. Add 1 to the attacks characteristic of that unit's melee weapons, excluding those of the mounts. Boo. Why?
It's just so
arbitrarily dumb. Just stop. Again, strike through. Like, I would have struck through this whole spell and said, try again.
+1 attacks.
Until that player's next hero phase. Which, let me just point out, this can do nothing. Right? If it's their turn, and a bunch of models die, and they roll some 3+, and they hand out a bunch of +1 attacks, and then it flips over to the battle round, new battle round, and you roll for turn, and you take the turn, the bonuses go away.
Yeah.
Yay.
Oh, yeah. Well, hold on. +1 attacks until that
player's next hero phase.
No, so if you take the turn, if it's their turn, you get bonuses at the end of their turn, and then it flips to your turn. You keep those bonuses.
Oh, you're right, because it's that player. Sorry, other way around. Let me reverse that.
If they
double turn you, this bonus does nothing. Sorry, that's
and
what
all
I
the bookkeeping and rolling that you've just done has been a waste of time and has no effect on the game.
Correct. Wonderful.
So you just recorded 18 models that have died. You've now rolled 18 dice. They have now chosen
a bunch of units that they had to choose.
That they had to choose. You mark all 12 units, and then you roll for priority. They win, and then everything that you just did has been
pointless.
Yep. And then you have to clear all the markers and start again.
Yep. Awesome. Okay. I mean, I like +1 attacks on a bunch of units, but like it feels like there is an easier way to get at this than whatever the heck is going on in this spell.
Yeah.
Right.
Doesn't stack. Doesn't work on mounts. Like
it's too weird. It's too complicated.
For design.
No good. No es bueno. Darkfire Demon Rift. Here's one that I think has potential, especially depending on how the meta shifts.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yep.
So this one's 50 points.
Yep.
It is predatory.
Yep.
But it can move up to 12 inches and it can fly.
Yep.
Cast on a 6, and you set it up wholly within 9 inches of you. When it's set up, you immediately make a move as per most predatory spells. So its effective range away is 21 inches. It dings everything within 22.
Yep.
After this model has moved, each unit that has any models it passed across and each other unit that is within 1 inch of it at the end of its move suffers D3 mortal wounds. Which when you initially read that, you're like, okay. Like, that's all right. There's plenty of endless spells that just do that thing that I just described, right?
Yep.
Bunch of D3s over what you moved within an inch. Cool. Nice that it hits both what you moved over and everything in a radius where you land. You know, there are some that don't do that, so that's good. Oh, but wait, it gets worse. Fueled by sorcery. Add 1 to the number of mortal wounds inflicted by this endless spell for each wizard and each other endless spell within 12 inches of this model. Just within. Not wholly within. Within. After it has moved. Like, you crash that thing into the middle of a Tzeentch line with, like, pinkies everywhere and a bunch of their dumb casters all castled up, or a Hallowheart castle.
Yeah, see, I hear that.
Boom.
And that's where my head went first, right? Is to pop those bunkers.
Sure.
And that's good. But actually, like, I realized, like, in the new world when Tzeentch arrives, this can be in Tzeentch's hand.
Oh, sure.
So
yeah.
You get into their face, they're like, oh, hi. Take mortal wounds.
Exactly, yes. This is, exactly. It works both offensively and defensively.
Right,
yes.
right. Like, because they just wait until you get close, and then you're like, oh, you're in my pocket? Here, have 12 mortal wounds. Deal with that.
Eat that Darkfire Demon Rift, yep. And just like, hey, here's a D3 plus 9 mortal wounds to everything that I just passed over. Which I'm just going to, like, hop it around a little bit and then land so it's still getting all of my own stuff. And boom goes the dynamite to your units.
Yeah.
Yep. Shoot. This is a powerful spell, right? I would point out, by the way, that Mr. Gaunt Summoner in Tzeentch is a Slaves to Darkness wizard. There are other things you could take too, but he is.
Right.
So he can cast this. The Doom Chicken cannot, obviously, because it is a Slaves to Darkness wizard only, but Gaunty can, right?
Yep.
So that's cool. I dig that. Realm Scourge Rupture. Cast on a 7. Again, predatory. Moves 9 inches. Set up wholly within 9, which is really hard, actually, because it has to be, as I'll describe, it's this base. Like, it's quite big. And it has to be set up wholly within 9 of you. Right? Yep. So, like, whenever you have to set up something exactly like this, and it can only move in this direction, like the way you set it up, where it's only going to go in the direction you literally initially point it, like the like the guillotine thing, which the name eludes me. Um, you're actually not going to be able to fit it the full 9 out, right? It's going to come back
And
quite a bit.
by the way, I want to jump back
Sure.
on the Demon Rift. Zinch, if they still have Destiny dice, can just remove it.
Can just remove it.
Like, likely you'll be able to use Destiny dice in the new world.
Yeah.
To dispel endless spells.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Sure. Yes,
And
you're
so,
saying
like,
against them. Yeah, potentially.
Like, so they will likely, like, so they are in no fear.
For
Like,
1 round, you don't know, like, again, necessarily, like, depends on the casting, depends on what's going on,
sure.
depends on what bonuses you have, blah, 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 right?
Right.
But sure. Yes, the powerful magic armies that you will screw up are also going to be the ones who are in a pretty decent place to dispel you, of course. Sure.
Right. Right.
All right, so the rupture, when it's set up, it
Right.
moves, like always. It always moves in a straight line. You must place it widthways in the direction you wish to move it. Whenever it moves in a straight line. It cannot move backwards. After this model is moved, each unit that has any models it passed across and each other unit within 1 inch of it suffers D3 mortals. So again, cool, same thing. But in addition, until the end of the battle round, so again, this sort of end of the battle round thing,
Yeah.
you have the move characteristic of each unit that has any models it passed across and each other unit within 1 inch of it, which is cool. Having move is good. It's just, again, it's a spell that could do nothing because it could be your turn. At the end of the round, you hit them, and then battle round ends, and like, okay, it did damage, but nobody moved anywhere.
Yeah, like it could just, like, it's just so weird.
Yep. To me, the Darkfire Demon Rift's a big winner, though. I think that guy's a potent spell, offensively or defensively. Because, like I said, most lists have 2 or 3 casters, and honestly, an endless spell that can move over with a decent move of 12 inches, that's pretty reasonably summonable on a 6. That can pretty easily pop for a D3 plus 3 to a lot of different units.
Yep.
That's strong. Right? Like, that's strong for 50 points. So, there you go. It is predatory, so I mean, obviously it can come back and ding you. But if you're a Cabalist, you can also push it out. You could ritual it out and get more pushes out of it, right? You could double tap it.
Well, that would only be if you double turn, because like the rituals are a start of turn.
I understand.
So,
I'm just saying you can
like,
do that.
I'd love to be able to push this, like cast it and then push it, but you just can't.
You cannot. But you
Right.
can, but you can get a lot of extra use out of the thing because of that, right?
Yep. Totally.
So, yep. Anything else we want to say about Slaves to Darkness, Tom, and your war shrine? Do you want to try to flip back to your video here for the end and see if you crash? Because it'd be really funny.
Sure.
Turn yourself back on. We'll see if it works.
Do.
So we can all see Tom.
My window.
Nice. Hey, there's Tom. Look, he's clear. It's nice. We can all say bye to Tom. He had to put up with a lot at the beginning of the show, but he's fine now.
We're here. Yeah, I mean, overall, I'm gonna say I like the book. I think that points could use a little bit. Like, it just feels like a lot of stuff is really expensive.
Which I don't mind. I like starting in that place. It means your investment can only be better.
I agree with that. I think that Chosen are probably too expensive for what they currently are. I think that they need to come down 10 points, or they need to be 3 wound models.
Which just isn't going to happen. The 3 wound thing isn't going to happen.
Right. They can't adjust that easily with a new book. Like, the reality, though, is that they are, like, they suffer from the, like, elite model problem.
Mm-hmm.
So even though they have a high number of attacks, like, they can't hold objectives.
If everything else is dead, you're fine. You only need 1 model.
Sure. But even 10 of them at 30 attacks is not, like, yeah. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. I could bring some points down, but overall it's fine.
I agree. Great book. I do think points are just a scotch high. I mean, like, probably 10 or 20 little adjustments that'll happen in the GHB. Will asked, would you recommend this book for every chaos player, i.e. Khorne, Nurgle, Tzeentch, and Slaanesh? My answer is a wholeheartedly and enthusiastic yes. Because it absolutely applies to all of that. Like, if you like chaos, you can run this in Slaanesh. I was building a couple lists to run with Tom, and like, some of them were Slaves to Darkness armies. Some of them were like Slanesh armies or whatever, you know.
Yep. Yep.
Um, and
I myself doing the same with Nurgle,
yeah,
where I'll run this in Slaves of Darkness or run it in Nurgle and really have to make some hard decisions as to
yeah,
which one I want.
yep. I think it's interesting and competitive. You know, it'll be as far as Zinch goes. Obviously, that whole world is about to change, so we'll know in a month what that actually looks like, or less than a month realistically.
Yep.
But yes, I think it's a truly fantastic book. Like from top to bottom, I was very impressed by it. Fix the silly Nurgle Demon Prince thing, and we're just in a wonderful place. I love it. I'm super excited about it. So, yeah, overall, great book. Well done. I think this was like one of the new writers, so he who led the project. So you did a great job. Thought you
Yeah,
did wonderful.
great book. It's compelling, especially given that the Allegiance was at like a 27% matched win
Oh,
rate.
I thought it was down to like 10, but sure, it was
It
very
might have
low.
been that low. It might have been that low, but it was low. And the point is that I think this will very, very, very much correct it and move it back to the fat metal.
Sure, agreed. Yep. All right, everybody. Well, there we go. You know, as we close out here, if you're still watching, remember, hit the like button. That really helps to get this out. All that kind of stuff. We're here every week, so subscribe. I'm supposed to say this stuff at the end of videos. They tell you that helps. So smash that like button. Hit bells and stuff. Whatever you do. I don't know. These are things you're supposed to say, right? I'm not sure. But anyway, this is a good book. Merry Christmas, everybody. Thanks for spending your Christmas with us. I'm glad we got to do this today. I hope everybody had a wonderful holiday. Don't forget about the Save RC thing. It'll be in the link. Congratulations again to Red Wizard for his wonderful Christmas present. And let's help him out now and make sure that he gets to keep his dog and it gets to know his young child. And as always, everybody, thank you so much for watching. Really, really appreciated. And as always, we'll see you next Wednesday. Bye-bye, everyone. Next Wednesday, by the way, being like New Year's. So see you then.